Waiting to get the okay for the live streaming, and then we will promptly start the meeting.
Thank you, Ashley. This is Marty McCarthy. I'm the board chair. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Marty, can you see me?
Judy, I see your screen, but I can't see you.
Okay, that's what Greg has gone to check on. Okay, I'm gonna mute you, and then I'm gonna get up and go see what's the problem. There's Megan.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Ashley Becerra with the Office of Charter Schools. I just got the go-ahead that we are streaming live. If you are an applicant here for a charter school interview, we can check your audio and make sure that you're coming in loud and clear right before your interview. If you're having trouble with the video, that is okay, so long as we can hear you speaking. Please make sure that you are checking that you are muted while not speaking. That helps us with feedback, and I will occasionally be muting people that are causing any feedback, so just keep an eye on your little microphone button. Before we get started, I will take roll to make sure we have a quorum. So, Jeanette Butterworth.
Good morning, I'm here.
Joel Ford.
Present.
Bruce Friend.
Present.
Rita Hare. Lynn Kroger. Parlay.
Present.
Alex.
Present.
Jerry Reeves.
Here.
Cheryl Turner.
Here.
Heather Van Cannon.
Here.
Stephen Walker.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum, and Mr. Mamoni, are you also here today?
Yes, I am.
All right. We are good to go. Chair Quigley, are you leading this morning, or Ms. Turner?
Ms. Turner is going to lead, and then I'll take over for ST-May.
All right. We ready for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Mr. Walker, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Will. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Charter School Advisory Board The Charter School Advisory Board works to ensure the existence of high-quality charter schools in North Carolina. Ethics statement. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the advisory board. Does any member of the advisory board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? I will be I'll be recusing from Go Big.
And Hilda Parlay will be recusing from Bunnycombe Leadership Academy and American Leadership Academy, Johnston.
Bruce Sprague will be recusing from Bonnie-Con Leadership Academy and American Leadership Academy.
Thank you. If so, please state for the record we do that. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. I wanted us to take a look and approve the revised agenda. I did have to push down the applicant interviews just a bit. So if you're here for an interview, I apologize for that. You will be on a little bit later than scheduled. But we did need to put on a new item this morning, and that is the Essie Mae Kaiser Fox discussion. Other than that, the remaining items are the same as what we reviewed yesterday.
Thank you. Can I get a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, Hilda Parlay moves to approve the revised agenda.
I'll second, Chair.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Can I get a voice vote? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? So approved.
All right, we are ready to go into that Essie Mae Kaiser Fox discussion.
Okay. All right. At this time, we want to go ahead and begin discussion of Essie Mae Kaiser Fox. We had a conversation with them yesterday regarding the audit, and we had a follow-up meeting with our attorneys regarding statute or surrounding audit requirements in closed session. And I want to open it for an open discussion right now regarding this school status. And I will start by saying that I'm very concerned. We have a school that has not produced an audit since its inception. And my reading, as I shared on the call yesterday, my reading of the document that they sent was just an inability of the school to manage the audit process and produce the proper documentation in a timely manner to the auditor. It's possible that it's always possible that there is an issue with the auditor, but that one of your responsibilities as a school is to manage these very important, whether reports, requirements, contracts, manage the external folks that you work with. If it's not working out, you need to fire them. Whatever it is, you can't blame anyone but yourself if the audit is not produced on time, as far as I'm concerned, because we have hundreds of schools that produce hundreds of audits year after year on time. And yet we're not even talking about lateness. We're talking about an audit that hasn't even been done yet. And the other component that was very concerning, I didn't comment on it yesterday, but is that I am concerned that the school is going to run out of money. And Sherry, you were kind of digging in on that and doing the math there, where person, they have a $60,000 payroll and $30,000, I think, in the bank, and $20,000 coming from, give or take, from the local. But that is not how you're supposed to be. That's not how you run a school. You can't run a school like that close to the line. And they lose some students back to the district, and if the district's paying them monthly based on ADM, very quickly they're not gonna have enough money to make it the rest of the year. So I guess I'll just start there. Those are my comments, and open it up for board discussion.
Alex, this is Cheryl. I share all of those same concerns. This school, since its inception, we have no way to know at this point fiscally how this school is managing. And they have a fiduciary responsibility to produce an audit. And they've been given way more than enough time. We're like 2 years, the first audit is more than a year late. And it's not yet, it's not like it's imminent. And so I have some real concerns about this school's viability.
And Mr. Chair, this is Hilda Perlay. I also concur. And it really shows evidence of incompetence, and not to mention irresponsibility. And schools are a business. We're just not there for our vision and mission, goals, and all the rest of that goes with running a charter school or governing a charter school. But it's a business, and it has to always be looked at in that sense, along with academics and operations. So I too, I feel for the children, number one, because this is why we all are in this business, for the sake of our children. So I don't see the responsibility, and incompetence is definitely the star of the show. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, Joel. I was able to hear you initially. I think that was Joel.
Yes. All right. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to discuss Essie Mae Kaiser Fox and the challenges that the charter school is having. It is deeply concerning and troubling as to what's going on at the school. I believe as a board that we have a responsibility first and foremost to the children in which are being served at that school. There are legitimate concerns concerning the financial viability of the school that have not been answered. And we have a responsibility as a board to take the necessary actions to protect the children and the families of that school. I want to say whatever action is taken today is not a reflection on the children or the parents of that school, but is a direct reflection upon the leadership and management of that school. And so I want to encourage my fellow board members to do what is necessary today so that we can protect the children and the families of this community and that school.
Alex, if I could just pipe in for a second. And thank you, Ashley, for putting up the performance data, because in addition to the fiscal state, which we are pretty sure is not healthy at all, but of course we have no documentation to ascertain one way or the other for certain. The school also has been struggling with enrollment numbers. I can remember when Essie Mae Kaiser Fox initially applied to the Charter School Advisory Board. I'm pretty sure the first round, the first time they applied, we did not approve them, and we asked them to come back with a stronger application, and they did come back, and I'm pretty sure the next time it was a split vote on whether they were ready. And then we know they started out with an EMO, which after 1 year, they severed ties, and it's like they're on shifting sand, and they've never been able to get their foundation firmed up. And I think it's not only with their finances, but I think there's issues with their governance, and there are absolutely issues with their student performance. I am worried about these 100 students that have been with this school now. This is the 3rd year of operation. What have they lost in this time? So I'm very concerned. We never like to. We don't want to go into this looking like, you know, we're trying to pick apart a school, but we also are required by policy and legislation to have high quality schools in the charter school realm, and I just don't feel like this one's making the marks on any of the areas.
Mr. Chair, I think it's really inexcusable to not have your audit in on time. I can understand when it's 6 weeks late. We're getting on 13 months on this first audit, and doesn't look like the next one's coming in anytime soon, and it's just totally unacceptable. I'm wondering here, knowing that you know how excited we were about this school, if there's any possibility that you know that the board of SCMA Kaiser Fox might be open to some sort of assumption or anything like that, or is this just a you know, this isn't going to work?
This is Mr. Friend. I'll just echo, I don't disagree with any comments that have been made by my fellow CSEP members. I appreciate this, especially the comments of Mr. Ford, and it's not a reflection of the students, or dare say maybe even some of the staff, but it's really a failure of leadership. And they have a responsibility to do an audit and be fiscally sound, and we have a responsibility to make sure that they're held accountable for that.
This is Heather Van Cannon. I echo the sentiments of my fellow board members. Just wanted to share that.
This is Alex Quigley. Stephen, I applaud your desire to maintain school choice options for kids in North Carolina, but I given the kind of, I'm wary of any assumption. I think I'm particularly worried in the context of the COVID situation that we're in right now. And I would say, I think that, you know, as we look at this, particularly, you know, with these early terminations, I think one of the lessons that, or the things that I've reflected on is just the cleanest solution. It, you know, similar to if we're not 100% sure, we shouldn't move the school forward. If we're similarly, if we don't feel like the school is going to can continue to operate effectively, you know, it should be crystal clear. And you know, so I would be in favor of more, not even opening the door for assumption and just moving forward with a revocation.
Mr. Chair, how long, what would the assumption process look like? What would the timeline for something like that be? I'm not familiar with if we've ever done that before with another charter school that was on the verge of being perhaps shut down.
Yes, Three Rivers is an assumed charter.
That's right. You're right.
It would, you know, basically we would, my recollection, and Stephen can jump in here, you know, basically if we were moved to an assumption, the board would have an opportunity to respond and either accept the assumption or, you know, appeal, and then it could draw the process out even further, potentially.
You're right. I mean, it was, you know, the one time we've done it, it was basically done is a settlement. You know, there was a case going through the administrative law courts, and that was the settlement we did it. I mean, we turned it around pretty quick. You know, I don't know what the appetite is. I don't know if there's, you know, I mean, it's tough to come in, you know, to see you've got 92 students, at least in the 18-19 school year. You know, a rough situation for somebody to step into.
Mr. Chairman, this is Joel Ford, and I appreciate my colleagues' comments, and I am a supporter of choice, especially in areas of our state where there is none to limited choice. I would be in favor of running a parallel track, meaning that I would still support the recommendation that you have, but if there is life for the school with the assumption of a high-performing functioning management or another charter school, I just got to think that again, my priority in volunteering on this board is for the children and for the families. And so what we don't know, Mr. Chairman, is whether or not that this is feasible. I'd like to see, but I'd also like to continue to move forward with a recommendation of revocation.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna, you know, and I want to try to steer us away from the assumption process. I just, if at all, and happy to have a good dialogue about that. I think I think the thing that we have gleaned from our past experiences is that the state board and the school and the community need the cleanest and clearest process and decision making possible. So, you know, like the stock market, we don't like uncertainty. So I think clarity where we can provide it is important, because it allows parents to make the decisions that they need to make. And what we learned through past assumptions is that it can drag things out longer and create a lengthier term of uncertainty. There's always going to be some uncertainty, but it can kind of extend the time at which that exists. And so I think this is a very clear situation where we have a board in violation of one of their most basic duties as a charter. And you know, again, I'm hoping that we can move forward with a clear, as clear as possible, which I would be in favor again of a revocation.
Mr. Chair, this is Mr. Friend, just piggybacking on Mr. Ford's comment. So timeline-wise, if we today approve revocation, does that allow them to continue for the rest of the current school year? When does that take effect? And in that time,
yes.
If in that time frame, if the board came back to us and said,
I think we should. Could we have Dave and the legal team kind of give us a overview on just the potential revocation process?
Yes, Mr. Quigley, this is Dave Machado, and I'll let legal opine when they want to. But if hypothetically you were to vote to revoke this their charter today, we would take it to state board in December. I'm assuming that that an item this serious, they would want 1 month discussion, and they would vote on it in January. then the school does have the ability to appeal it to the state board, which would probably take another month. So we're looking at probably February or March before the school would actually be closed. If legal would like to comment, I'd appreciate it.
Good morning. This is Tiffany Lucas with the Attorney General's office. Dave has accurately summarized the process. If the Charter School Advisory Board makes a recommendation to move forward with initiating revocation proceedings, there is a process in place whereby it would go to the state board, of course, for final action, and then following that action, if the action in fact is to initiate or to move forward with revocation, there are opportunities for the school to appeal. So this process does take time if the CSAP moves forward with the recommendation to revoke the school's charter. That is just the beginning of the process.
Alex, also the assumption process requires a bidding process. Can you have a bidding process going on to keep the school open at the same time people are voting to close it? How would somebody who wanted to take it over be even able to get funds that way if there's also this process to close it going on?
Alex, I have another comment too. Yesterday when I was asking questions about their bank statement and, I'm just trying to ascertain whether or not they even had funds to go month to month, and they are receiving their allotments month to month. We're not even sure that they can physically make it to the end of this school year. So, the timeline, if they go belly up before that, the timeline really is kind of off the table. The good news is, and I hope the faith community is listening, we have a charter school that will be opening there in August. And, hopefully they could reach out to these families if the families aren't gun shy of a charter school now. But there will be a charter opportunity close by, so that would help. But I'm still not convinced that they're going to be able to operate through the end of the school year.
Alex, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Cheryl.
I move that we revoke the charter for S.E. May Kaiser Fox Charter School based on the school's continued non-compliance in the areas of governance and finance, including their failure to file financial audits for the 2019 school year and the 2020 school year, which is out of compliance with the requirement of the general statute.
Any other probably seconds?
Okay, it's properly moved and seconded. Discussion on this motion.
Mr. Chair, I'm going to vote for this motion with the, that if the school comes back and says, hey, we're interested in assumption and just turning in our charter, that we at least consider that. That's my only caveat, but I support it. I mean, I think this is definitely the right thing to do.
And I would, urge the school that from a standpoint of ease of closure and settling expenses and things like that, this process is a lot easier if the school turns their charter in. And have no doubt in my mind that the state board is going to support this motion, and feel very confident in that. And it makes sense to me. I would urge the school to really step back and consider turning in their charter at the end of the year and allowing their students opportunity to attend the school for the duration of the year and then hang it up at the end of the year. I think it would make the process easier for the school. And most importantly for the student.
This is Jeanette Butterworth, and I will support this motion also. And this is what charter school accountability looks like. And I'm sorry to see it come to this, but I feel like this is the best move for the children of the school and the families and the community. So I'll support also the motion.
Mr. Chairman, Joel Ford, this is, for me, a tough day as a board member for the Charter School Advisory Board when I am going to have to live out all the things that I've been preaching as it relates to transparency and accountability. The last thing I want to do is to vote to revoke a charter or be involved in the cancellation of a charter school because of my passion and belief for school choice for all children in the state. But one of the things I cannot do is to sit idly by and watch an adult leadership continue to fail. And I'm going to say this, I don't live in a community, but I consider them to be our kids. So this move is absolutely necessary. I want to thank my colleague Stephen for trying to keep hope alive and to have a lifeline thrown out there. But if no one steps up, then we have to step up, do the right thing on behalf of these kids and families. And thank you for my colleague Cheryl for reminding us that another charter school in August of next year is being opened up. And so hopefully those families will take some encouragement in that and knowing that some choice in your area is still or will be available.
Thank you, Joel. Other comments, other discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote.
Okay. Jeanette Butterworth.
Aye.
Joel Ford.
Aye.
Bruce Friend.
Aye.
Hilda Parlay.
Aye.
Alex Quigley.
Aye.
Jerry Reed.
Aye.
Daryl Turner.
Aye.
Heather Van Cannon.
Aye.
Stephen Walker.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously, and the Office of Charter Schools will begin working on preparing materials for the State Board of Education to review. All right, our next item is the November 10th charter applications interviews. So I'm going to pull this up for Melanie.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning, CSAB, Office of Charter School staff, and November charter applicants. We will hear from 4 first-round applicants today. And just a quick recap from yesterday. After deliberation by CSAB, there's 3 options that exist. You either advance to the SBE for approval, hold over for round 2 interviews, or advance to the SBE for denial. And then as far as our time constraints today, we have 1 hour allotted per interview. So we'll have a brief introduction this morning, followed by the opportunity for the applicant board to introduce themselves with a quick statement. There'll be 25 minutes allotted for the full CSAB discussion. And then we'll have the applicant closing statement for 10 minutes. And then the full CSAB will deliberate regarding the decision. And so without further ado, we can go ahead and move in to the first application this morning, being Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. Okay, located in the greater Huntsville area, Mecklenburg County. So what we're looking at right now is a snapshot of zip code 28070. Bonnie Cone Leadership anticipates facility on 30 to 40 acres, 138,000 square feet. So what we see here in red is the slated location. And then we have the LEA schools in green, and then we have charter schools there in the blue. Okay. All right. And so in year one, Bonnie Cone anticipates 1,525 students in grades K through 10. And then in the following 2 subsequent years, they'll add grades 11 and 12. And then, you know, at year, leaving them at capacity at year 3 with 1,925 students. They will participate in the National Lunch Program, provide transportation. They will utilize the weighted lottery. Again, their facility is slated in the greater Huntsville area, although they do not have an exact location at this time. LEA impact was not submitted, not a repeat applicant, and they are working with the Charter 1, and the completeness check is yes. And so at this time, it looks like Chairman Quigley was the lead of this. If we're ready to go, you know, we can allow the board to introduce themselves.
Yep, let's go.
Okay.
I presume that means it's time for me to speak. Yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
I thank you for your attention this morning. My name is Marty McCarthy. I'm the board chair for Bonnie Cone Classical Academy, and hopefully the board chair for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. I'd like to introduce you to our board members. The first here is Mr. William Mills. William, would you please introduce yourself?
Good morning. My name is William Mills. I'm a practicing attorney in Concord, North Carolina. And other than our chairman, Mr. McCarthy, I'm the longest serving member of the Bonnie Cone board.
Thank you, William. Next is Brian Puckett. Brian?
Morning, board. Brian Puckett. I am an insurance agent in Charlotte. I have been serving on the board for Bonnie Cone Classical Academy for 3 years now, and I've enjoyed all 3 years. Thank you.
Next is Mrs. Judy Russo. Judy?
Good morning. My name is Judy Russo, and I am a retired educator with Charlotte Mecklenburg with 36 years experience teaching high school social studies and history. I've been on the Bonnie Cone Classical Board for 6 years, and I am really looking forward to being on the Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy Board. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Next is Ms. Megan Tan. Megan, are you there?
Yes, hi, my name is Megan Tan. I am a local business owner, and actually we have international businesses as well. I am one of the parents of Bonnie Cone Classical Academy. This is my second year as a board member, and I look forward to joining the board member for BCLA.
Thank you, Megan. Next is Dr. Crystal Brown. Crystal?
Good morning. My name is Crystal Brown. I have experience as a high school math teacher and an administrator, about 15 years. And I currently work with dual enrolled students with the Career and College Promise program, and I'm a course instructor for teacher education candidates. And this is my second year on the board, and I'm really excited about Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy.
Thank you, Crystal. The next person is not able to be present. That is Miss Stephanie Newborough. She is a public school teacher, and she is involved in teaching today. The other board member, Mr. Byron Grimmett, recently moved to the mountains and has withdrawn from board participation. We have been interviewing one candidate already to replace Mr. Grimmett. That is Miss Harella Cornelius, who's a CPA, formerly handled all the financials for Lincoln Charter. Excuse me, Lake Norman Charter. I got that wrong. And is more currently now handling all the financials for a private school in Huntersville. She is a CPA. I will also be interviewing in a preliminary fashion, hoping to bring to the board another candidate that is Dr. Mark Helms. Mark is the Dean of Students at CPCC and is nationally known for his work in service learning. Our board was approved for Bonnie Cone Classical Academy. We opened last year with 240 students. This year, our state-approved ADM is 600 students. We enrolled 750 students in grades K through 7 and have over 300 students on our wait list. We opened this year under Plan B and are currently operating under Plan A. Charter One is our educational management organization. Before you is the application for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy, a K-12 charter school that is proposed to open in the fall of 2022 with 1,525 students. The school will grow to 1,925 students when it is fully enrolled. Our parents have expressed interest in expansion for a high-quality high school to serve their students. We do not have enough room to expand on our current site. Bonnie Cone Classical Academy will serve as a feeder school for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. We will also pursue articulation agreements with other charter schools in the area that do not offer a high school option. We have been aggressively marketing Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy and have 944 families on the interest list representing over 1,400 students. And we are 21 months away from doors open pending your approval. Charter One will serve as the EMO for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. Our board will govern both Bonnie Cone Classical Academy and Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. The K-8 curriculum will be the same for both schools. We're excited to offer full high school experience that includes entrepreneurship, leadership, financial literacy, performing arts and visual arts, and a full athletic program. To offer the full high school experience is expensive, and we need the benefits of the economies of scale that a 1,500 to 1,900 student body will provide. We seek to join the company of successful charter schools in the area such as Lake Norman, Pine Lake Prep, and Community School of Davidson. Huntersville is one of the fastest growing communities in North Carolina, and the demand for this service is high. Charter One has provided support over and above what we expected. They provided curriculum at little or no cost in our first year. They provided furniture and technology for pennies on the dollar. Charter One has provided amazing marketing support and has been the engine behind our phenomenal growth. Charter One will not get paid until the school can afford it. Charter One provided all of these services and were not paid a penny last year. They are invested in our success and even provided services prior to the State Board of Education approval. We have engaged the support of a developer that is committed to providing the financing for up to $35 million for a 140 to 150,000 square foot facility. The developer has engaged the services of a commercial real estate broker, and they have identified potential sites. Upon approval, we will enter into a contract for a 35 to 40 acre site for our K-12 campus. We were awarded the NC Access Grant for Bonnie Cone Classical Academy, and we plan to apply for the same grant for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. We conducted a weighted lottery. We offer food service and provide bus transportation. We intentionally marketed the school to educationally disadvantaged children. We were successful in recruiting 68% of non-white students to our school. I'm proud of the diversity and the experience of this board. We have grown tremendously since being approved for our first charter school. We experienced delay, lost our initial developer, lost our charter management organization, and opened in temporary facilities using every seat available to us in those temporary facilities for our first year student body. This year we have had to further modify our plan to face the COVID virus. We are ready to govern Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy and ask for your approval to send our application to the State Board of Education. We appreciate the opportunity to share information and answer any questions you may have for us, and we thank you for your time and attention.
And if I may interrupt, this is Joan Roman. I am the current director of Bonnie Cone Classical Academy. I am an employee of Charter One, the EMO. I have successfully opened 3 charter schools in North Carolina, and I have been involved in charter schools as a teacher leader, and an administrator for over 20 years. And I am excited about the possibility of Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy as we grow this opportunity for families in the Huntersville area.
Joan, thank you for jumping in.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to hear some areas that the board would like to ask some questions.
Alex, this is Heather Buncannon. I have some questions around transportation, the transportation plan relative to the budget. Also, there seems to be nothing in the budget for food services. And given the weighted lottery says 40% of students will be educationally disadvantaged, and that's potentially economically disadvantaged, I'd like to know more about that. Also, I want to be clear on the relationship between Charter One and the school development business. I think it might be called School Development East. What the relationship is there, just so everyone's on the same page. Thanks.
I might turn that question to Joan Roman. That was several questions. Joan, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I will talk about transportation first, which is the first item that you mentioned. We currently at Bonnie Cone Classical Academy have transportation provided to our students, and we will have that at BCLA. We understand that we are serving communities who are historically underserved and may have students who need that transportation in order to come to school. We will do that with cluster bus stops that are located within convenient commuting distance to the bus stop for the family so that we can pick those students up. We look within our budget to purchase used buses, which is what we've done currently at BCA and we'll do at BCLA, and make sure that we have that opportunity for students. The second thing that you spoke about was the free and reduced lunch or meal service plan for our students.
Hold on. Excuse me, I just want to interject there because I feel like there's a number of follow-ups. So I'd like to ask the board, a board member, not Ms. Roman, how was the budget developed related to busing and transportation?
Megan, would that be better for you to answer?
Comment on that?
Thank you for that question. Megan, would that be better for you to answer?
Yes, if I may, while they're getting together, to follow up, I know Ms. Roman said that BCCA provides busing, but according to the budget for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy, there's only 4 buses listed. We're speaking of 1,525 students. 4 buses would not even hardly cover, 10% of those students. So I want to know the details on how robust this transportation plan is actually going to be, and with a specific looking at students who are educationally, economically disadvantaged.
So if I may just interject, this is Joan Roman again. 16% of our population at Bonnie Cone Classical Academy requested bus service when we set out a survey. And so we purchased buses based on the percentage of students or parents who indicated that they needed transportation. So we would look at supplying transportation at BCLA at that rate or above. Now, if it is indicated that there are more families that desire busing, then we would be looking at a reduction in the education management fee to support the additional purchases of buses in year 1.
I mean, the budget for transportation is insufficient. Like, I'm not sure what or how you're doing it at Bonnie Cone, but I'm speaking about the BCLA, and I mean, there's $5,000 for maintenance every year, and then there's no money for buses after year 3 when the school is even larger. And I mean, those of us that run it's just woefully inadequate. And I think we have to go by, so I'm going to follow up with my other question. How was the budget developed? What, how did the board arrive at this budget for transportation?
Is it Mr. Quigley that I'm addressing? I can't see, so I can't see who's speaking.
Sorry, this is Alex Quigley. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Quigley. We know that we will have to work through the ready to open process to adjust our budget. You will see in many places the budget flatlines across year after year because we do not yet know what revenue will be as we go forward. We have a commitment from Charter One that will not take a penny out until all of our needs are covered. They've been very successful in helping us grow Bonnie Cone Classical Academy and did not take a penny in year one, and they're ready to stand forward and do the same with us as we open Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy, pending your approval. But during that process of ready to open, we know we're going to have to refine the budget.
Yeah, I want to, again, speak to my board that we have to evaluate the budget that's before us. I also point out that while transportation ends after year 4, the contract fee to the management company, that certainly continues and goes up in years 4 and 5, as does as does the financial fees, things that generally seemingly track with a growing student population seem to increase over time. So
you're correct about the growth of the school, Mr. Quigley.
Excuse me?
You're correct about the growth of the school, Mr. Quigley. I just want to emphasize that we have room in our budget to move things around as we grow and understand the importance of one aspect of the budget or the other. A budget is a rough framework upon which we will build the specifics.
Right. I think what we look for is when we're told that you're going to provide transportation and then it's not there's not a financially viable plan, and we have to make a decision based on hey, we're going to work it out down the road. I don't know. It's hard for me to feel that that's inaccurate.
Mr. Quigley, if I could comment.
Still, I actually would like an answer to the question about can someone answer the question about how do we arrive at the budget for transportation from a board member?
Mr. Quigley, this is William Mills. What Ms. Roman said was that and the other comments, there are 4 buses here. We would guess that would handle about 10%, maybe 15% of the population. That's approximately what the experience at BCAA was. We recognize that the actual demand for transportation will be a function of the population that we obtain at BCLA. And of course, we'll have to make adjustments for that. And there is flexibility in the budget, but any number we put down at this stage is a best guess based upon our experience. And our best guess here is certainly better than it was when we were working at BCAA. And I don't remember what our proposal was, but I don't think we even had a transportation budget when we made our proposal for BCAA. So, I mean, we understand the concerns you're raising, and certainly we acknowledge and recognize them, but we have to wait and see what happens. Thanks, sir.
May I add to Ms. Mills?
Can someone explain why there's $0 for the child nutrition program then? I mean,
yes, ma'am.
What we're looking at is an application where you're stating that you're going to be reaching out, trying to attract educationally and economically disadvantaged students, but the budget doesn't support that. The budget has $0 for child nutrition. And even in the application, it says that if a student cannot pay for their meals or forget their meals, they will receive a reduced cost lunch. I have an issue with that. And you know, I mean, not to try to hammer the thing about the transportation, but you have to know that you're putting transportation in your plan. Then years 3, 4, 5, 4 and 5, it's non-existent. You can't just eradicate it. And I think that's what we're getting at. What you're saying is not being matched up with where you're putting the money.
If I could respond to the food question, there's no revenue for a free and reduced school lunch in the budget either. And that's exactly the approach, again, that we took with BCCAA. And we are providing free and reduced lunch at BCCAA, and we have revenue to offset, and we make up the difference. There's flexibility in the budget to make up the difference, but we know that to the extent that we have a disadvantaged population, there'll be revenue that will offset the cost. And you know, these are very similar questions that are being asked here. We don't know what supply and demand is, so it's very, very hard to budget for the first year, let alone for the out years. As we go along and we gain experience, we'll do what we can. This budget reflects the experience we gained from BCCA, and budgeting not the revenue from the free and reduced lunch program offsets the cost sufficiently that we're able to cover the gap with the experience. Thank you.
This is Cheryl. I think that part of what we're saying is when we look at the budget and look at the narrative, that those two things should match. And I don't understand why in year 4, all of a sudden you're not going to need any money for transportation when you have more kids, and I don't understand that. So what that looks like to me is in year 4, we're no longer going to provide transportation. That's concerning.
Ms. Turner, we will fix that because that's an error in the way we set up the budget. That's our error. We know there will be a need for transportation going forward that will increase. We also know that when we're dealing with more high school students, some percentage of them will drive. We do not know what that percentage is yet. But you know me well enough to know that we will not let anything stand in the way of serving our children.
What I do know for a fact is that not nearly the percentage of low-income students have their own car as students who have more money. And so consequently, low-income students, you are not going to see a high percentage of those students start to drive.
You're absolutely right. That's why we will fix it and raise that up. We have a lot of money in other areas of the budget that we can move around based on our experience. So we will attend to that.
Ms. Turner, Marty, if I may real quick, one of the great things that the CMO, that Charter One brought to us was the resources they had to reach out to these families individually. With the staff that we provided them through the school, they were able to reach out to these families. We were able to ask questions and mold our budget around their needs, seeing who needs those buses, what the free and reduced lunch looks like. And then again, this is a broad budget, and we will, once we know that the charter has moved forward, we have been recruiting these kids, we get to know our families more, we will be able to mold this to fit their needs.
Thank you, Brian.
I guess my question, again, I want to point out, I still haven't gotten a clear answer on the question. My other question is, if we're working with a management company that has so much experience and is so good at doing this type of work, how would they make an error in the, we have an error in the budget. We're saying a lot of things like we don't know how things are going to be. We need to wait and see. We need to find it out. That doesn't make sense. Also, the other piece is that there are plenty of other costs in here that are budgeted for. So why don't we talk about that? So the contract fees. So we're talking about, I would like a board member to explain to me what, management companies can be very helpful particularly in the opening of the school. and the ongoing management and resources they provide. So what are we getting for the management fee? What are we getting for the contract fee? Because we're talking about, I think the management fee is
15%, 12% in year one.
Okay, yeah. So a total of $10 million over 5 years. What are you as a board getting for that?
Let me begin the answer, and then I'll ask other board members to chime in if they'd like. We will have the benefit of their work in operations and curriculum, academics, accounting, facilities, marketing, HR, IT, and compliance. They have a deep track record of experience in that regard. I've been out and visited their schools and looked over what they get done. They're very successful at their work because they're very mission-driven and very efficient in their work. We are confident that we're getting a very good organizational support team at an appropriate, even inexpensive cost. Other board members would like to step in?
Yes, I'd like to speak on the CMO. Whenever I deal with a lot of charter schools in the area, for both from coast to coast with North Carolina, and when we talk about Bonnie Cone and then they go to our Facebook or they go to our website, it is next to none. Just the marketing piece alone on Facebook, we have, you know, through Facebook and Constant Contact, we have over 1,400 kids that are looking to come to this school, and we don't even have the charter yet. When we started at the school, and when Charter One first came in, the marketing piece alone was well worth all the money that we could spend. They were able to put butts in our seats and find kids that really need a great education. The CMO has been wonderful in helping us.
Okay, so follow up there. Good point. Marketing, very important. Why is there $35,000 in marketing if the CMO contract fee covers the marketing?
Well, there are reimbursable expenses associated with marketing that are not covered by the CMO. The actual printing, the actual purchases of media, incidental expenses, those are reimbursables. I mean, that's pretty standard accounting for marketing operations. I'd like to add that I think the 15% compares quite favorably with public school. We're a public school. The operating costs, administrative operating costs of government-run schools, and indeed, I think in administration, that's one area where the scale matters. The economies of scale matter, and Charter One operates between North Carolina and Arizona between 80 and 100 schools. So there are considerable economies of scale that allow them to hold down the costs. Thank you.
Okay, so I mean, what?
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say just real quick, but we haven't seen this kind of scale in North Carolina yet because there was just a second-year delay placed on a school of the same size. We haven't seen that kind of scale kind of play out, if you will, under Charter One in North Carolina yet. And so you're asking us to kind of use a crystal ball, if you will, to say, well, I know our application specifically in transportation and food cost doesn't say all that it needs to say, but trust us that we're going to be able to cover it. And we're charged with looking at the application as it is when it comes in, because we don't know to this scale what Charter One or the board is capable of. And so I don't think it's fair to say, just, you know, take our word on this. And when we're looking at differences with a 40% EDS population, which is what your weighted lottery, I think, said that it was going to strive for. And then it looks like lots of things, to Alex's point, were very well planned out in terms of what you just mentioned, marketing, finance has a very large line item there, curriculum materials, and then we get to something that's about access to the school, just transportation and food, getting kids there and feeding them. And those are, well, just trust us, we're going to work that out. That is concerning, and that's where I'm coming from.
Thank you. We anticipate applying for North Carolina Access Grant as we did with Bonnie Cone Classical Academy. That's a reimbursable, and Charter One has pledged to cover The gap until that is achieved, we have a CMO agreement, an EMO agreement with Charter One, that if we do not have the funds to pay them in year one, we do not pay them. We take care of everything else first. They're the first dollars in and the last dollars out.
So this is Joan Roman. This is Joan Roman. I think it should be noted that we have purchased at BCA 5 buses for under $25,000. So if you're looking at our budget at BCLA and questioning whether or not we're going to be able to support transportation needs, we're not buying brand new buses at $100,000 or more apiece. So, I mean, I think with, I know with Charter One's support and their economies of scale and their ability to go out and find these pieces for us, that $10,000 or whatever is in the budget in the first year for 4 buses is going to help us tremendously. I'm sorry, it's probably 20,000. It's going to help tremendously in being able to support those students who are of academic need.
On the board. I'd like to, I'm sorry, Cheryl. I want to bring up.
Yeah, go ahead, Cheryl.
Because one of the things too is remember that Charter One has a school that's in delay that will open this year. They've applied for another school with 1,500 children that would open that year, and this school with 1,500 children. And supposedly, if nobody has any money, Charter One will pay for everything. That's concerning.
I also, what about
this school's in Mecklenburg, where we have a history of schools not making their first year ADM, and this school's asking for 1,500 kids.
And to that point, Cheryl, Cone Classical Academy, I'm pretty sure opened year one under their projected enrollment. This year, they've absolutely turned it around, and they give credit to Charter One for that. For that difference.
There was a facility issue that caused them not to open with their ADM in the first year. The facility evidently didn't hold enough kids.
Gotcha.
And they have obviously added a ton of kids this year. But I'm still not confident that there are 1,500 children standing around in Huntersville waiting for a new school.
And, you know, and that was my point. I had great hesitation when Wake Preparatory came before us. That was one of my largest concerns was, you know, opening a school this large, and especially in this area. Charlotte Meck has, like you said, had difficulty opening schools, and this is not the only school in Charlotte Meck that has petitioned for an application this year. The other thing is, when Mr. McCarty spoke about interest, when I was reading through the application, I saw all the hits on the Facebook, and you know that they did have lots and lots of hits on the Facebook. But one of the questions with the survey said, "Are you interested in school?" And that question had 77 affirmative responses, and then there was another one that there was only 4 responses to the survey. So I'm seeing a disconnect with what the data showed and what the board wants. And the other thing is, if you have a successful Bonnie Cone Classical Academy and you want to continue, why not just open a high school and focus in that area since you already have a strong program? These numbers are very disturbing for me, just the magnitude and the fact that we're just going to have to put our total trust in a management company that hasn't been able to successfully open a school yet.
So this is Joan Roman. If I can speak just a little bit about what our experience has been here to clarify a few things. You know, Huntersville, and we have a great relationship now through this process of opening Bonnie Cone Classical Academy, is growing tremendously. It is slated, according to the studies that have been done both by the town of Huntersville and by the council, to grow from 68,000 to 89,000 households in the next 10 years, with the greater Lake Norman area tripling in size. And we know with that is going to come school enrollment. It should also be noted that The fact that we opened in a temporary facility was because of issues with the developer and with the charter management company we were originally with. Charter One has allowed us to triple in size in just under a year and has supported us through that process. So that growth shows that there is interest within this area. And then the survey that we sent out that says that we have 944 families who have committed 1,400 students, and they're 2 years out from opening BCLA, shows that there is interest in this area in opening a school of that size. You know, to just extend the high school in order to get the full high school experience that the board desires, and Mr. McCarthy could speak about this more than I, it is important to have the economies of scale of both a feeder school and a K-12 school.
Thank you. In order to support a high school that offers everything from entrepreneurship and leadership and teaching financial responsibility and accountability to all the arts in a full athletic program, the enrollment of 1,500 to 1,900 students economically supports that kind of experience for the students. To get there, knowing that the United Nations World Population Study 2 years ago said that Charlotte will be the fastest growing large city in America for the next 2 decades, and yet there is no intention right now expressed by CMS to expand schools into the Huntersville community. And the Huntersville community still has thousands of kids on waiting lists to get into charter schools. And we've already demonstrated with the data we're gathering a huge interest in a prospective high school and another K-8 to support that. We believe we can get this done.
I want to go back to the budget. I had a follow-up question just about finance fees alone are very high. And
right.
Again, to my original question, what is the management company doing? Because in all my experience with charter management organizations, they handle the internal finances of the school. So why are we, in addition to that, paying what would be, let me see here, financial in first 5 years would be $1.5 million over 5 years.
Mr. Quigley, let me see if I can begin a response to that and ask other board members to step in because we've worked on this together. First, let's go back to Bonnie Cone Classical Academy. We're now in the bonding process because we've had such good experience and such growth to move from our current financial arrangement to a bond package. We expect and anticipate success there that will save us money. We will go through the same process with Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. I just want you to be aware of that. Thank you.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry, Mr. Quigley, go ahead.
You mean you're going to buy out the lease with a bond? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
And okay, but what is this number in the finance line?
I'm sorry.
Because normally what that number is for accountants and people to do your books. And I guess that gets back to my original question. Can someone on the board speak to the preparation of this budget?
Megan, is this something you want to speak to, or William?
William?
I think Megan's had more of a hand in the preparation of the budget, but basic accounting services, I believe, are provided under our contract with the EMO, so with Charter One. So the financing line is other debt service requirements, I believe.
Other debt service?
Hey, Megan, can you help me with that?
Because we've got over the first 5 years, $16 million in facility lease and mortgage.
Well, that would be okay. So the way the $35 billion building that's being financed initially lease, that obviously we have to put equipment and furniture in that.
Sure.
We would expect to after we complete construction, the lease is specifically designed so that to encourage us after construction is complete and all the costs are known, and the school has proven itself to buy that lease out quickly by going to the bonding process. We're doing that, as Marty mentioned, and we certainly anticipate doing that again.
And so you expect that the building at that point would be valued at roughly 35 million, and you would try to buy out the property for its value?
That is correct.
But in the lease agreement for the school, it appears that if you buy out before 4 years, I believe, then you have to pay the value, or you have to pay 122% of the value. So then we're looking at more.
We don't expect to wait 4 years. We expect to buy it out in year 2.
Well, it says even before. I think it's still 122%, and also the accounting fees, the accounting, basic accounting like payroll and those types of things are not covered according to the contract. Finance compliance is covered from the fees paid to the MO, but not accounting services.
Is there a board member that would like to take this? Remember, it's a 12% EMO fee in year 1, not 15%, as would run out past that, and it only is paid if we have the money once we've covered all other obligations and commitments and requirements.
Well, again, something that moves? Is it something that moves that you have to pay later, or is it just forgiven if you don't have the money?
Forgiven.
Can someone answer my original question, which was about what is the relationship between Charter One and the School Development LLC?
The School Development LLC is a group that includes some of Charter One's people and others as well that are development people.
Joel had a question in the chat box. Joel, I want to get you in here. We haven't heard your voice. Did you want to ask that question?
Yes, I wanted the question that I want. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The question that I had was about your plan for disadvantaged youth. Everything that you articulated about our area as it relates to growth is absolutely correct. Everything that you articulated about waiting lists for high-performing charter schools as well as public schools is off the charts. And so while I applaud your efforts and what you're trying to do for our community, I am concerned about those students who are disadvantaged and who are part of those waiting lists, right? And so they may not exactly fit into the ideal box that some organizations would like to have, but nonetheless, they are members of our community, and they are kids who I believe have a tremendous amount of potential, but who need the opportunity of a high-performing public charter school. So if someone on the board could articulate to me what does that look like, that would be extremely helpful.
Let me initiate response, and then let other board members chime in if they so choose. Mr. Ford, I couldn't agree with you more, and I thank you for your commitment. You may know Greg Jackson, who's involved with Heal Charlotte, works a lot in the Hidden Valley neighborhood. I'm working directly with Greg to recruit families from that neighborhood, as I am with the Greater Enrichment Program. I hope you know that program. Serves after-school program in a number of our tough schools in the city of Charlotte. I've been on the board of Greater Enrichment Program for 20 years now and helped build programs to serve those students, sending a lot of them to camp in the summer. That said, we have a target to reach our underserved community, and I am actively pursuing that personally. The board is after it in terms of our marketing as well. If others would like to chime in, please.
Yes, I would like to speak on that. Myself and Megan Tan, along with Stephanie, when we started the Bonnie Cone Classical Academy, we went and sought out these different areas that had these type of students, the disadvantaged students. And we went into those areas and we tried to find organizations that were helping these families and these students. We got embedded into those organizations and we had info sessions at their location. We did not have to have them come to us. We know that there are issues with transportation there, so we wanted to meet them at their location, have our info sessions. There were about 5 or 6 of these around the Huntersville area that we went to and had those information sessions. We also did invite them to the school to take a tour and to find out more about the school. We are doing everything we can to reach out to these kids in those communities.
Okay, so am I missing something in the application? Do you have a quantifiable commitment or goal toward those disadvantaged students? And again, I'm just trying to seek clarification, but I'm also looking for a quantifiable commitment that we can hold you folks accountable to.
Yeah, we've written it, in the charter, but the other piece is, when we apply for this NC Access grant, apart from that commitment, we have a commitment to fulfill that NC Access grant, which is bringing these kids in, and making sure that we are letting them know about Bonnie Cone Classical. So aside from our commitment that we made internally, we also have a commitment from the NC Access grant to fulfill that.
So
I think that's talking about, hold on. Let me just, just to answer your question, Joel, the application says 50%. So the application says 50% of the students being economically disadvantaged will be the same for BCLA. So by that math, you're talking about 600 to 700 ED students. So that's pretty significant, and yes. Which circles us back to my original question, or some of the original dialogue around transportation or free lunch. When you're talking about 700 students, I ran a school with 600 students and we had 12 buses. And so either I'm doing something totally wrong or the numbers just don't match up. And then the other piece of this is, on lunch. I think those of us that run federal free lunch programs or run lunch, and we're talking, that's 700 students is a lot of kids. That's essentially a school. If it is exceedingly difficult to run the federal free lunch program at a zero balance, to do it with where you lose no money. It's exceedingly difficult. Very few people do it. And Cheryl, I think you've done it I don't know if your experience in Charlotte could comment on it, but I think, the narrative of the application is saying one thing, the budget's saying something else.
We do have to invest money in our program. We don't lose money on the program anymore, but we do invest money on our program. And I've got twice the number of kids they're talking about, that low-income kids, and I run 30 buses. And I can't even open during Plan B because I can't get all my kids to school under the restrictions. The idea that you're going to be able to run 4 buses for 3 years and then stop running buses and have 50% of your kids be low income is just, it's not going to work.
Ms. Turner, may I respond, please? We have $600,000 in our curriculum budget. We know that's probably heavy. We also know that we're going to increase our transportation budget as we come out of this meeting, pending your approval, and we certainly hope we'll have your approval. We'll increase our transportation budget. We will fix the issues that have been brought to our attention. Thank you.
Can someone on the board speak to wraparound services for, if you have a 50% EDS population, wraparound services, related services are going to be crucial to student success. Can someone on the board speak to that?
One of the board members want to pick this one up?
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
The question is your plan, sorry, Heather Van Cannon here. The question is your plan for wraparound services, where that is in the budget specifically, and or related services, whatever you want to tag it as. So where is it in the budget, and what are your plans given that you plan to have 50% of your population EDS?
So with 50%, this is Joan Roman, with 50% of the population EDS, you would be looking.
I would like to hear from someone for the board, please. Thank you. I'm sorry, Ms. Roman.
Megan or Judy, would this be a question that you're better at answering than I am?
I'm not really sure that I am, Marty, but I do know that we have the counselors, the EC program, all of this is included. And we want to be able to be sure that we have the facility and the means to take care of all of these students. So I know it is something that is extremely important, and I know that we will be applying for federal grants with Title I, with various and sundry things that we can do with mental health. We know that we have these needs, and I do believe that as a board, we will be able to meet these needs, and we intend to meet the needs for the disadvantaged children. So I think that with North Carolina Access, mental health, Title I, and various and sundry things like that, that we can meet the needs of the disadvantaged children as we have met the needs of the disadvantaged children at Bonnie Cone Classical.
It would be, I would appreciate it if CSAB would allow us to discuss this with Joan Roman openly in front of the board, because we do that when we meet as a Bonnie Cone Classical Academy board.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna actually close the questioning time in a second here, so that will be an opportunity where you'll have an opportunity to make another statement. So that'll be a good time for that as well.
Alex, I want to go back to your original question that we never got an answer to about how this budget was developed.
Cheryl, I just want to let everybody know this will be the last question unless there's a burning question from CSAB, so that we have time to close the discussion, and then or close Q&A, have time for discussion, have time for their statement and us to discuss and vote. Go ahead.
I want to go back to that original question that you had. How was this budget developed? Who developed it, and how was it developed?
Ms. Turner, we worked with our charter EMO, Charter One, in discussion with them. They put the numbers on the paper, and we worked with them on fixing the numbers until we thought we were in a place we could put the budget forward. Actually, previous charters, I've been involved in putting the numbers on the paper. They actually put the numbers on the paper after our discussions with them.
I was involved with Mr. McCarthy in preparing the budget for BCCA when we did our initial application. We were very fortunate this time to have the assistance of Charter One in preparing the budget, and their ability to apply their experience, both in running BCCA for a year and their experience from Arizona. And I think we've got a much better product this time than we had when we did BCCA. They're don't mean to suggest that there are not some areas that we could improve. Thank you.
Thank you, William.
I would also like to mention that in addition to having $600,000 in academic line item that we can adjust around, we have also successfully applied for NC Access grant for BCCA, and we have met our goal, our budgeted goal, the first year for 3 years. So that's a success that we are looking to replicate on BCLA.
Thank you, Megan.
To supplement for ED students.
And if I may close on that question, we also are using some charter folks from the accounting company that we're using who have done this. They've created their own charters, and they are experts in charter budgets and charter financing. So where it is minimal, we have had recommendations from them, and they have helped as well.
Okay, so I'm going to give the board, I think we're at 10:31, and this has to be closed by, we're almost slightly over. So the board, if you could make a final statement, 3-4 minutes, that would be great.
Thank you, Mr.
This is your
Thank you,
opportunity
Mr.
this time. And if you want to respond to that question, you can.
I'll close. Thank you, Mr. Quigley. I again want to thank the board on behalf of all of us for the interview with the Charter School Advisory Board today. We have 21 months until the doors open at Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy pending your approval. We acknowledge that we have work to do and adjustments that will need to be made to the budget during the ready to open process. We are asking for the Charter School Advisory Board to unanimously approve the application for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy to move forward for approval by the North Carolina State Board of Education. Our board has been marketing Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy for the past several months, as demonstrated by an interest list of 944 families representing over 1,400 students. We have a commitment from a developer to provide up to $35 million in funding to build a 140,000 square foot facility. The developer has hired a commercial real estate firm, and they have identified potential sites. The board has a good working relationship with the town of Huntersville. We're a diverse board with experience in governing the startup and operations of a charter school. We are driven to provide families in Huntersville with more high-quality seats and a high-quality high school option. We have an excellent leader in Joan Roman. We have intentionally staffed Bonnie Cone Classical Academy with expansion in mind. We hired Sandra Brighton, the assistant director, as the assistant director this year. She was the former principal of Socrates Academy in Charlotte. Under her leadership, the school received the prestigious National Blue Ribbon School designation from the United States Department of Education, putting them in the top 1% of all public schools in the country. We request and would be honored to receive the unanimous approval of the Charter School Advisory Board for Bonnie Cone Leadership Academy. We will serve our mission and our students with fidelity and endeavor to make you proud. Thank you.
And this is Joan Roman. Oh, I'm sorry.
You can go ahead, Joan.
I just want to say one of the great aspects of working with this board of directors is we have a phenomenal relationship between my role, between the school leadership here, and moving forward with Charter One. And I think that collaborative nature between the board and Charter One makes this a successful opportunity for a K-12 charter in the Huntersville area, which is growing tremendously. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to close Q&A and open it up to discussion for the board. So comments from the board on decision to move this forward. At this time, this is a decision. We have 3 options. We can decide not to move them forward to the next round. We can move them forward to the next round, or we can move them straight to the state board for ready to open approval.
Mr. Chair, looking at this school, I think this board is solid. And, I've heard there's a lot of discussion about the EMO, and this model has been successful in other places. I fully expect it's going to be successful in North Carolina. And when we talk about the number of students and things like that, we have to remember that this EMO is a business, and they are smart, savvy business people, and they have market researched this thing. There's no way that they're going to put this kind of money out if they think they can't get the students. They're going to be reasonable in it. I know I was hoping that we would have one opening this year with Charter One, and what Wake Forest did there was really unconscionable. The thing that happened to that school, Wake Preparatory Academy, and I'm hopefully looking forward to them opening after this second year delay. But I think here this board is solid. I think the EMO is solid. They have proven themselves other places, and I think that they know what the numbers can look like. I think we've had concerns before in the past with EMOs that we've been worried if they could meet their enrollment requirements, ones with deep pockets like Charter Schools USA or NHA, and they generally hit their enrollment targets. I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I think they provide a lot of support, and it looks like that they've got a great working relationship with this board, and I would be in favor of moving this school forward to ready to open status.
This is Joe here. I'd really like to echo Stephen's comments here. You know, we've talked so much the last couple of days about leadership and what makes a successful charter school. We've seen some of the issues we've had to deal with early this morning when we don't have quality leadership. It is clear as day to me. I've been fortunate to visit Bonnie Cohen out in Huntersville, and what Charter One and that board has put together out there is an extraordinary success, to the point where they actually over-enrolled their student numbers this year to accommodate the demand, even if they might not get funding for those students. That's their commitment to the community. I would think it'd be tragic for us to not give this very talented and capable group an opportunity to help expand successful charter schools in our state. I very much support this application in this group.
This is Cheryl. I agree, this is a very strong board. Don't have any issues at all with the board. And Bonnie Cohen is being successful. I am concerned about 1,500 students. I'm a little concerned, mildly concerned, that we're depending on a management company that has not yet had a chance to prove themselves here. It's going to have 3 new schools, if all of them get approved, open in the same year, and they make up their money makes up the difference if the schools are not able to make this what in all 3 schools is very large enrollment. I do have a concern, and why I kept pushing on this thing about who made up this budget is what I see in this budget. People put their money where they're thinking, and what I see in this budget is a lack of real support for disadvantaged students. I don't see, the things that got left out were or forgotten were the things that would support those kids. And then when you ask about, when Heather asked about wraparound services and where's that coming from, and that was all coming from external money someplace else. It wasn't the core money of the school, which says to me, I don't know whether it's the management company or I don't know whether it's the school itself. I'm not sure which, but what that says to me is disadvantaged kids their needs are an afterthought. We have this idea of what our school does, and if in fact we have to do something else, we will, but we'll do that with other money, because our money is set up for this thing that we know. That concerns me, because what happens in those situations is where we see achievement gaps. Now, the only thing that makes me feel even a little bit better about that is that when they have achievement gaps, they therefore are no longer successful, and then they're going to do something about it. I mean, you can hear the emotion in my voice. It just really concerns me when I see that, because what I see is that the planning wasn't planned around making sure that we meet the needs of all the kids who are coming to us. Even if we say out loud, we're going to have 50% of our kids. I do think the school will be successful. I'm not sure they'll end up serving 50% or they'll keep 50% disadvantaged kids, because I don't think that they are set up to support them. Thank you.
This is Heather Van Cannon.
If I could just add.
Oh, go ahead, Sherry.
Well, sorry, Heather. I was just going to tag on to what Cheryl was saying, and I think that's why we were pushing so hard on the budget, because the budget doesn't speak to what the narrative says in certain places. And the response was, well, we've applied for the NC Access Grant. Well, we know that the NC Access Grant is not going to always be around. We're very fortunate to have that pot of money right now, but it will not continue on down the road. And so I feel too, that there's a disconnect between what we're saying and what we might be doing. I have no doubts that this board is strong and very capable, but I do have some heartburn about the way the disadvantaged are being treated or not treated in the budget.
So I'm going to jump in here, Heather Van Cannon. Just want to echo the sentiments that I think the board's very strong. I think the classical approach is different for this area. I do, however, have concerns like Cheryl, like Sherry, about what appears to be an afterthought for the 50% EDS population. I don't think you can just put that in an application and not showcase in the application throughout how you're going to support that population, whether it be reading interventionist, social workers, and in this case, it'd probably have to be 2 full-time social workers. All of those things I would like to see in the application from the start, meaning that I've really been very thoughtful about this 50% EDS population. We've researched, we talked about research and the EMO doing its due diligence in research, but did it do its due diligence in researching, or did the board do its due diligence in researching the EDS population and what their needs are, and then what costs are going to be associated with those needs? And so that's my biggest concern. And given that this school is going to be located in an area where the median income is $85,000, which is very different than, say, inner city Charlotte, which I think was mentioned in terms of trying to market and get those kiddos. And then having articulation agreements with multiple charter schools where there could be more of an affluent lean. I just wonder how we're going to get to the 50% and honor that part of our application, but then also provide the appropriate support so that there's not an achievement gap. So those are kind of my concerns, just looking at the application as presented.
All right. And I just want to say to Ms. Roman, very impressed with the presentation you gave about how you got Bonnie Cone open and Plan B, and now it sounds like Plan A, and clearly you're a strong leader for that school, and glad to see you doing that work. So right now we're at 10:44, so I want to go ahead and call for a motion if someone will provide me one so that we can make a decision. Again, 3 options: move to state board, move to next round, or not move forward.
Mr. Chairman, Joel Ford, I'd like to make a motion to move to state board.
I'll second that motion. Stephen Walker.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? I'll be transparent. I'm not going to support this motion. I think there are too many questions in the budget in terms of its alignment to the narrative, and I would echo Cheryl's concerns. Further discussion? Comments? All right, Ashley?
Okay, I just want to make sure I have it. Was that Joel who made the motion?
Joel Ford motion to move them
Okay.
to the state board of ed.
Okay. And I heard Stephen second. Okay. Jeanette Butterworth?
Nay.
Joel Ford?
Aye.
Bruce Friend?
You can't vote, Ashley.
Hey, I'm recused from this
Yes.
motion.
Recused, yep. Hilda's also recused. Alex Quigley.
Nay.
Sherry Reeves?
Nay.
Cheryl Turner?
Nay.
Heather Van Cannon?
No.
Stephen Walker?
Yes.
Okay, the motion did not pass. It was 2-4, and we had 2 recusals.
Okay, so we need a motion that passes in order to decide what to do. So other option, we now have 2 options: move them forward to next round or not move them forward at all.
I'll make a motion that we do not move them forward.
Okay.
Second, Heather.
Okay, properly moved and seconded. So Sherry, that's a motion to not move forward.
Correct.
Okay.
This is Joe. Just as a comment, I don't support this motion moving forward. I think we should give them a chance to come back next month and give us clarifying information on budgets. We all know budgets change dramatically within the year that the school opens. And again, this is a board and a group that absolutely knows what they're doing and knows how to open a school. If you've not visited Boddington, get out there and see it.
This is Joel Ford, Mr. Chairman, and I'm not going to support this motion. I do believe that they have earned the right to move to the second round to provide clarification on budgets or any other questions that my fellow board members have. I want to remind my fellow board members of the tremendous need in our community and the waiting list that we have. I'm not aware of any perfect charter school application or budget. I do believe that when we have a group of concerned, competent citizens that are willing to sacrifice of their time, their talents, and their treasures to help educate our kids in this day and time, I think we ought to do everything we can to do to support them.
Now, I'll echo that too. I mean, if a board with this kind of strength and with this kind of knowledge and can't move forward with the state board, I find it hard to think of a board that's going to be able to. And so I won't support this motion. And I don't know what benefit there would be to bring them back for a second interview, but if there's anybody that would support this motion now that is on the fence and would be think that maybe there's some things that could be clarified in another interview, then I would support that, but I can't support just saying no at this point to such a strong board and the work that they've done, and I think it would be great for the community.
This is Jeanette Butterworth, and I would support bringing them back to see the commitment and to talk through the budget when it comes to the 50% EPS. Hear more about that, so I would support bringing them back instead of.
Okay, so
this is Cheryl. I have motions about bringing back thing. If they came back and said, okay, these are the modifications that that we've made to the budget, I guess I just need some assurance that they're not just telling us that. But to Joe's point, the budget changes all the time. So you could come in and say, well, now we are adding social workers, and we are planning to make sure we have enough money to pay for food, and we are going to run buses in year 4 and 5, and just not do it.
Cheryl, I'll respond to that. That again, this group has shown what they can do in the community. I think they take these recommendations very seriously and understand exactly what they need to do to open a successful school in the community.
okay, I'm going to call for the vote. Any further discussion or comments?
Mr. Chairman, please clarify the motion.
The motion is to not move them forward. All right, let's have a vote. Ashley?
Jeanette Butterworth,
Nay.
Joel Ford,
No.
Alex Quigley,
Aye.
Sherry Reed, Sherry,
Aye.
Cheryl Turner,
I'm on the fence about whether to bring them back, whether hearing what they had to say next month would make a difference.
Okay.
About this.
Well then, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say nay.
okay. Heather Van Cannon,
Aye.
Stephen Walker.
No.
Okay, we have a 3-3 tied vote.
Okay, I will retract my vote and go to the no. Or can I make a new motion? How should we handle this from Robert's Rules of Order?
I would make a new motion, probably.
Okay.
Alex,
Can someone
I have
make a
4 to
motion?
4-3, nay, 4 nays, 3 aye. So it didn't pass.
Yeah. Okay, didn't pass.
Does not pass.
Okay,
I thought it was 3-3.
You're right, it's 4-3. It's 4-3, it did not pass. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chair,
Yeah,
I'll
didn't
move
pass.
this
Okay, great.
next month.
Go ahead, let's make another motion.
I move we bring them back next month for another interview.
I'll second. This is Jeanette Butterworth.
All right, please call the, any discussion? Hearing none. Ashley?
Okay. Jeanette Butterworth,
Aye.
Joel Ford,
Aye.
Alex Quigley,
Aye.
Harry Reid,
Yes.
Cheryl Turner,
Aye.
Heather Van Cannon,
Aye.
Jim Walker.
Aye. Third time's a charm.
Yes, third time's a unanimous vote. Bonnie Cone, you will be invited to the second round interviews in December, and you will receive more information from our office about that agenda.
I'd like to make a request for some things that they bring when they come back next time, besides just the budget. I really would like to be able to hear what is their plan for supporting students who come with a lot of needs. What are they putting in place to make sure that all of their students are going to be successful?
Thank you, Ms. Turner.
Hey, if I may, Miss Heather, can you further go into detail about the wraparound services that you would like to see?
Sure. So wraparound services do take into consideration mental health and all that goes with those types of things. So, for example, making sure that you have social workers on staff, that you're using all of the extensive resources that many communities have, and you're arranging student access to those. With a population that large, it's going to be critical to have those folks on staff so they're always available, because kids are going to have, no matter where they come from, they're going to have mental health crises and that type of thing. So making sure that you have enough staff members to cover that number of students. So that would be the first thing. So wraparound is social workers, speech therapists that come from various backgrounds, and making sure that you're going to be able to provide that. You may need to set up a mentoring program. That's what I mean by wraparound services, is that these kids are fully supported, and obviously a robust food program is part of that as well.
Thank you.
Okay, the time we're on time. Now we're slightly behind time. We're gonna go. We're only a minute behind if we just keep trucking here. So let's go ahead with ALA.
I need to make a bio break.
Okay, bio break. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. We'll start at 11:05.
Thank you all.
Hey, Stephen, are you there?
Thank you.
Stephen Walker?
I'm here, Joel.
Ashley, what's our status now? Are we ready to go?
Let me just check the, let's see. Yeah, it looks like everybody's here, and live streaming has been going the entire time, so we're good to go whenever you're ready.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I'm not leading this one, so
Okay, let me just.
happy to pass the reins to Ms. Turner.
Yeah, isn't she excited? Okay, so, first, I guess Melanie.
Yes.
Okay, sure. Thanks, Ms. Turner. American Leadership Academy, moving out east now to Johnston County. What you see right now is the 27527 zip code, okay, which is the proposed site for ALA. They proposed 27527 and 27520. Now, 27520 is even more sparse than what you see right now, with even fewer public and charter schools within a 5-mile radius. It appears that the nearest charter school appears to be 10 miles south, Johnston Charter. And then you have some LEA schools about 9 miles away. And then it looks like there's also in Clayton a News Charter about 8.2 miles away. And those zip codes, it looks like, are in Smithfield and not in Clayton. Those schools are in Smithfield and not in Clayton. So a very sparse area of the state in terms of schools. And then if we can go on to the next slide. Okay. So it looks like in year one, anticipating 1,525. Hold on, let me check something. Give me a moment, please. Sorry. Okay, yes, so 1525 in year one. Year two looks like they grow to grades 11 with 1725, and they're just adding grade 12 in year three. And then we have them at capacity year three, and then that's at 1,925. They are offering the National Lunch Program as well as transportation. They're using a weighted lottery. Again, they do not have a facility yet. There has not been an LEA impact statement. They are not a repeat applicant. And then Charter 1 is the EMO, CMO, and there is a completeness check.
Thank you, Melanie.
Yes, and I just want to just a reminder really quickly that as the board today makes their application, their introduction, to kind of limit the background detail for the sake of time. The board does have the CV and the resume of the board available, so if we can just maximize time and not be too lengthy as far as background detail. Ms. Turner.
Thank you. Is the board chair available?
I am, yes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. Thank you. Well, good morning. We thank you for this opportunity to be here. I'll make a quick introduction. We'll go through the groups and then I'll come back to close. My name is Dawn Carroll. I'm the chairman of the board of directors for Leadership Schools of Johnston County, and I'm one of the 2 founding members of this board. I'm a 15-year resident of Johnston County and specifically in the town of Clayton. My husband is a lifelong resident of Wake and Johnston counties, and I'm the facilities and procurement manager for a large pharmaceutical manufacturer here in Clayton. I have 3 children, 2 of whom we've consider have benefited from what I would consider to be schools of choice in our area. Now I'm going to pass it to Matt Waring.
Good morning, all. Thank you for allowing us to come before you today. Quick overview of myself. As Dawn mentioned, my name is Matthew Waring. I am a resident of Johnson County and have been for about 13 years now. Professionally, background is that I'm a senior manager in operations today, with focus primarily on risk reduction and in automation. With that, I will pass it over to Jess.
Good morning. My name is Jessica White, and I'm serving as the treasurer of ALA Johnston. I'm a CPA with 10 years of experience in both public and private accounting. I'm a lifetime Johnston County resident with a passion for improving the quality of life for our residents, which includes quality educational choices. And I'll pass it to Frank Jones to introduce himself.
Good morning. My name is Franklin Jones. I am an attorney in North Carolina. I've been practicing law for 25 years. I'm happily married for the last 31 years. We have 6 children. I'm excited about the opportunity to bring ALA to Johnston County, and we hope that you'll approve that. I had the opportunity to get familiar with ALA out in Arizona as my youngest son spent his senior year and graduated. I was thrilled with the educational experience that he had there. And when I heard that this was a possibility here in Johnston County, I was excited to be part of the board. So thank you for hearing us today. I'll turn it over to Sean Reed.
Good morning. My name's Sean Reed. I live in the Raleigh area right now. Most of my industry experience has been in the tech industry, specifically geared around operations, operational implementation, and analytics. I'm also currently a student at University of North Carolina Kenan-Flagler Business School. I'll pass it on to Charlie.
Thank you, Sean. Good morning. My name is Charlie French. I currently serve as a school director at Aristotle Preparatory Academy in Charlotte, which is considered to be a turnaround school due to our implementation of core knowledge and Eureka Math. I've been in education since 1999 with 14 years of classroom education experience. I've been working in and with charters since 2013. I've served as a founding director and on several founding boards, served on multiple charter schools with their professional development through a company, Charter Starters, which I co-founded with my partner, Kelly Scott. And I'm an advocate for school choice and enjoy serving to bring options to communities along with other like-minded individuals. And I'll turn it over to Kelly.
Good morning. My name is Kelly Scott. I'm the current elementary administrator at Aristotle Preparatory Academy. I bring to this board over 22 years of experience in education. My realm of experiences includes establishing and facilitating effective professional to learning communities, disaggregating and analyzing data, curriculum alignment, and charter school startup. Thank you for your time and consideration, and now I will pass it back to Dawn.
Thank you, Charlie. On behalf of the Board of Directors for American Leadership Academy Johnston, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to join you today and to eagerly answer your questions or request your approval of our charter school application. Our board began nearly 2 years ago when a large group of parents from Johnston Charter Academy in Clayton, which is an NHA school, began to realize what a positive impact school choice was making on their children and questioned where they would go to high school after leaving JCA. During our formation, we discussed the various paths we could take to opening a new school, from creating a fully independent board to working with a service provider, and soon settled on the decision to work with an EMO. This decision was based on very pragmatic reasoning. The founding members were very passionate about having options for school choice, but we knew we had no experience running a school, and we didn't have any misconceptions about our abilities to do so without an experienced partner. We also are not independently wealthy and had little desire to spend months or years fundraising in order just to start or continue operating our school. Over the course of the next 15 months or so, we researched and reached out to a number of different organizations. And for a time, we were working closely with Charter Schools USA until they decided they would not be filing any additional applications in North Carolina this year. They were kind enough to put us in contact with Charter One, and within a few meetings, we became quite confident that we'd found a partner with which we could passionately pursue common goals for our students. We know for a fact there's a strong demand for additional charter schools in Johnston County for a number of reasons. The 2 current charter schools in the county are filled to capacity, and Johnston Charter and Clayton has a long waiting list for most grades. Because 2 of our board members have students in the JCA school, we were able to gather feedback from over 150 families stating their support for a high school option in the Clayton area. In addition to the informational meeting we initially held and our original contact mailing list, our recent marketing efforts have garnered over 1,000 responses to our Facebook marketing efforts. And in comparison to previous Charter One efforts, that can be extrapolated to over 2,000 potential students already on the interest list. These are just our baseline, and we expect exponential growth in our interest list with the 18 months or more to continue marketing and reaching interested families before our school opens in the fall of 2022. In the survey included with our interest list, 76% of respondents indicated that they are either dissatisfied or uncertain of their satisfaction with the current school options. These statistics support our belief that the Clayton community in particular is ripe for supporting another charter school due to explosive growth in the past 10 years, which is not slowing down. This growth is expected to continue for many years to come based on the ongoing plans for expansion by the 2 large pharmaceutical manufacturers located here. We hope to position our school in a location where we can reach families in Clayton and Garner, but also can draw from other surrounding communities such as Smithfield and Selma, Wendell and Knightdale, 4 Oaks, and the Cleveland community. We will be unique from most other charters in that we will offer bus service to our students as needed. This additional service will allow us, more than any other school of choice in our area, to better engage the economically disadvantaged students in our community. We expect our school, American Leadership Academy, to be a unique school choice offering in a number of ways, all of which tie back to our mission statement of offering the best educational experience to as many students as possible in a moral and wholesome environment. The best educational experience means we will provide top-notch academic programs and opportunities to participate in extracurricular activities such as sports, the arts, dance, and clubs. A particularly unique and exciting part of the high school curriculum is the requirement to take a Dave Ramsey financial literacy course, partnered with a course in entrepreneurship. These courses are what parents now are begging for from their schools. Tools to help their students prepare for life beyond high school, whether they choose to continue their education or join the workforce. We want to offer this experience to as many students as possible, so rather than scaling down our high school numbers, as many K-12 charters do, we are increasing our high school openings. We plan to fill these by pursuing an articulation agreement with Johnston Charter Academy's Board of Directors, as well as offering bus transportation, as mentioned. We plan to use a weighted lottery for enrollment at American Leadership Academy Johnston. Finally, we are most passionate about offering these opportunities to our students in a moral and wholesome environment. In fact, when we first began exploring the possibility of starting our own charter, this was one of our top priorities in finding a right partner. This is why we were especially excited to hear about and review the supporting character education curriculum for Charter One's raised values of respect, accountability, integrity, service, and excellence. While visiting a number of the Charter One schools in Arizona, we could see that these values are not just a 10-minute lesson that's taught a couple of times a week, but that living out these values is woven into the culture of these schools throughout the entire day. We heard these values tied into academic lessons in the classroom, into behaviors in the hallways, and we saw them in action in the student body toward other students. Most importantly, in every conversation we had, from the school directors and teachers down to the youngest students, these values are very clearly ingrained into the culture of every single Charter One school we visited. We're eager to bring this same learning and living experience to Johnston County, and we hope to earn your support and endorsement during this interview today. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's open it up to questions. I'll start. I have a couple. Well, let me say first that this application is exactly the same as the last one we just saw, except for things that are location specific. What's your connection to Aristotle? And you referred to the nonprofit that holds this that would hold this charter is ALA Schools. So does that mean there are currently existing schools, other existing schools, or does that mean you intend to have more schools? How are you set up, and who are you connected to?
Okay. We don't have an official connection to Aristotle other than that, that we do have 2 board members who are currently at Aristotle, but there's no tie between our schools. We were searching for board members, and we particularly knew we needed experienced board members experienced with the curriculum model we were looking for. And so Charlie and Kelly were the most qualified applicants for those board positions. As far as the reference to leadership schools of Johnston County, yes, we did say schools, and we said it intentionally. We do not have any existing schools, but we did want to leave open the opportunity that if we were able to bring a movement to our county and provide additional opportunities in the future, that possibility is there. It was a choice in an intentional choice in names, looking forward to perhaps the opportunity to bring more to our community in the future.
So are there other American Leadership Academy schools that you are associated with someplace else?
Charter One Schools does operate American Leadership Academy schools in Arizona.
Are you in any way, will you be in any way connected to them? Other than you have the same management company?
Right, we will offer the same programming, the raised values, but as far as a legal tie, no.
Okay, anybody else have questions at this time?
Ms. Turner, I have a question on, and this was one that I also had from the previous group, but we never got that far because we really didn't get into their ed plan or their PD, et cetera. All throughout both applications, first of all, Ms. Carroll, did you write the application or did the EMO write the application?
It was a joint effort. The EMO filled out the application form, but our board was we were active participants in providing the background information for the application.
Okay, the reason I ask is because they really are identical, the previous one and this one, with the exception of reference to Huntersville or Johnston. And even one of them was in the wrong place. But anyways, what is meant by a moral and wholesome experience? That's mentioned throughout. What does that mean, and how are you selling that to parents?
Okay, moral and wholesome, I think I would refer back to our the raised values: respect, accountability, integrity, service, and excellence. Those are values that are taught and lived out within the schools through a moral focused curriculum. But more importantly, they are interwoven into all of the classrooms within the schools. So I believe those values speak for themselves. But if you're looking for additional input on that, we can certainly open that up for the rest of the board members to address how they feel about that.
I just think that moral and wholesome is kind of old-fashioned speak. I don't know and how you were going to relay that to parents. But with speaking of the RAISE and the CK, in the professional development plan, I did not see I didn't see where you were going to have that as a part of the PD for teachers, and these are two of the strong components of this application. Obviously, the core knowledge sequence, and then RAISE is the Charter One's very specific character development program.
Hey, I'm sorry, this is Charlie. May I pop in? I'm not sure if it's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say, so part of the professional development at the beginning of the school year is 10 days before the school year starts, and all of the teachers and staff are receive professional development not only on the academic curriculum but also on RAISE.
And can I also speak into that? This is Kelly Scott. It is our vision for not only our students to learn, lead, and change the world, but also our teachers as well. We believe that cultivating leaders begins with identifying strengths as well as deficiency gaps. Therefore, our teachers at ALA Johnson will participate in differentiated professional development. Just as students need individualized learning opportunities, we also believe our educators do as well. Charter One will offer extensive growth and leadership opportunities for teachers as well as administrators.
If I could address the question about moral and wholesome, as a parent, I think that's something that's attractive to a vast majority of parents. It was very attractive to me when my child went to ALA, and I think that is one of the things that impressed me so much. It was part of the culture and the environment that was there, that was a environment of respect and welcoming, even to a young man who came just in his final year of high school. So I think that's part of the reference to moral and wholesome that I really appreciated as a parent. I think others would as well.
And I think moral, in my opinion, and what I see and what I convey with that is moral is just doing what's right. So teaching children to just do what's right when they have a situation that, you know, that they could be dishonest or react negative to something. So to me, what I define as moral is just doing things the right way. You know, what's the right thing to do in situations.
Oh, I absolutely support a moral focus. Don't get me wrong. So the board initially said that members of parents of students in charter and Johnston Charter reached out about a high school opportunity. So how do you get from a high school opportunity to a K-12, 1,925 students?
Yeah. That's a fair question. I think that my understanding of your experience as an advisory board is that you're well aware of the funding opportunities, and so we had a difficult time engaging any partners in just opening a high school. So we had expanded already to considering a middle school and high school option. And then as we began speaking with Charter Schools USA and then continued with Charter One, it became obvious that the best financial choice for our school in order to be able to operate a full educational experience, including the arts and the extracurriculars, was to expand and include all the grades so that we could have an opportunity to have the full benefit of the funding that we need in order to operate all these programs across all the levels.
Are you opening K-10 or K-12? On the enrollment part says K-10, but on page 98 in the narrative, it says K-12.
It is our intent to open with K-10. That was an error in the application.
Okay, also, when you talked about the demand that you've experienced, what I saw in the data was that you got 375 positive responses over 2 years. So when did you accumulate the rest of this data?
We have been receiving Facebook feedback in the last 3 months, and our number of engagements in the last 3 months has gone up exponentially since the time that we filled out the application in August. So that's where our numbers are based. Did I fully address your question?
Yes, thank you.
I want to follow up with that, Cheryl, if I may. So, Ms. Carroll, with 11 grade expansion, or, over 11 grades in the first year, you're talking about kids who have been in their elementary school for X number of years, students who have been members of their middle school X number of years, and then 200 10th graders who belong to some high school the previous year. What data do you have, and that's parents interested in students starting the year that you plan to open, saying, yes, I would enroll my students in your school. I hope you can follow what I'm saying. There's certain grades. It's easy to get the kindergartners, so to speak, and maybe your 6th graders and your 9th graders, but all those other years, and these are high numbers of expectation.
Right. So I would.
I'm sorry. I'm just so passionate about this, but so one thing I've learned, I've been working in charter schools since 2013, and when you have feeder schools, I found parents don't like that. And a lot of the older students who are enrolling here have younger students also enrolling or trying to apply to enroll. And what I found is that, it's even a concern at the school where I'm at, and when we had to start adding a grade level each year to fulfill our charter, is that parents don't like having their families at different places. They like to stay in the same place. My own 2 children are in a charter here in North Carolina in Gaston County. It's a K-12 school on 3 campuses, and my daughters have enjoyed having their friends all the way throughout those, the relationships that they've built with each other and with their teachers. I've just found that that's what parents want. That's part of what my parents have asked for in a school choice. In the regular school, they can go to this elementary, that middle, and, in that high school, but they don't like it. They, in this day when everyone's so disconnected with so many reasons, people are looking unity and be connected. I'm sorry, Carol. Dawn, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right. I think I can address a couple of things as well. The question about how do we know parents will move their students, I would say, first of all, myself and Mr. Waring, we are both parents of students at JCA in Clayton, and we both picked our kids up in the middle of elementary school and moved them to another school. My son was entering 4th grade when JCA opened, and we passionately and joyously made the choice to move our student to a charter school. I think parents in Johnston County are desperate for other options besides the public school system, the traditional public school system. We feel our students are getting lost. We feel they're losing opportunities for a good educational experience. And we're passionate about giving them those opportunities. I would say if you look at the numbers at JCA, in the first year that they opened, they intended to open 1st through 7th grade, and they actually, 1st through 6th grade, and they actually ended up opening with 1st through 7th grade because they had enough interest in, from families wanting to move their students to a charter school, even in that first year. They have achieved full enrollment across all of their grades, and they have a long waiting list for many of their grades. So I don't think there's any lack of opportunity for us to engage families at any grade level. I think that it's a sure thing for us. I'm confident of that as a parent who has done this very thing. As far as the high school engagement goes, one of the things we did before we reached out to Charter One was we performed our own internal survey of the parents that were had students currently at JCA, and we asked questions like, if a school were not to open until 2021 or 2022, because we were talking about doing a faster enrollment, or faster opening, we asked them, if your student were in 9th or 10th or 11th grade at another school in the year that our new school opens, would you be willing to consider moving your student to a charter school? And a large majority of those who responded said, absolutely, we absolutely would consider moving our students back to a charter school from the public schools. I believe the public schools the public high schools in particular in our area are overcrowded, and the opportunities for our students are so minimal. What's exciting about Charter One and American Leadership Academies is the opportunities to engage in sports and extracurricular activities while still having that charter school experience, where you don't necessarily, when you're in a high school that has 2,000 high school students, the opportunities for someone to play football or play baseball or basketball are very, very limited. And I think we'll be offering a lot more students an opportunity to engage in the activities they want to without having to be in the top 1% in those skill sets.
Don, I want to add real quick, if I may, and we, in the interest of time, we don't have to go down the rabbit hole, but two things coming to mind that I wanted to bring up real quick. So first, on the survey responses, I believe I heard a comment that it was 375 in 2 years. By all means, the board can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe it was 375. We put out the initial, very basic marketing campaign as of the end of June this year. So to me, that's a substantial amount of responses based on the very limited marketing strategy that we have thus far. Also, I would echo what all of my members just mentioned. There is such a demand for school choice in our Johnson County and Clayton area. As Dawn mentioned, both myself and Dawn have students in Johnson Charter Academy, which is only through middle school. So we need an option in our area for a continued charter option through high school. That answers the question for, how do we get some high schoolers into the school year one. Also, there is a continued wait list for kindergartners and elementary at Johnson Charter. And I know we can also help those students. And that goes back to, the mission statement of reaching as many students as possible.
I'd like to go to budget, transportation particularly. You say you're trying for 35% EDS. You are going to have 4 buses. So 35% EDS is 533 kids, 4 buses, 72 passenger buses, which are the large ones. At full capacity, will serve 288 students. That's like half. So what's your plan for our experience with the EDS kids is that about 80% of them ride the bus, particularly elementary. About 80% ride the bus. So what's your plan?
Hey, this is Jessica. Thank you for the question. First of all, I'd just like to point out that none of the other charter schools in our area have available transportation, so that'll be a great asset to our school. We are planning to buy used buses, which Charter One's experience recently has been that those can be acquired for about $5,000. So we have that included in the budget to purchase buses year 1 through 3. And then you'll see in year 4 and 5, we continue to have the maintenance budget and we have personnel budget continued in those years, but we don't have budgeted amounts to buy additional buses in those years. This budget was based on experience that Charter One could provide and estimates they could provide from other schools and bus use. But as you mentioned, if the need is greater for this particular school based on parent surveys and information that we can gather after we have more detailed information on our student body, then we can definitely expand that bus and personnel budget given our current surplus that we have in years 1 through 3.
Ms. Turner, could someone from the board speak on the weighted lottery, how they understand the process, and how they're going to reach our disadvantaged students?
They have not. Could we get somebody to talk about that?
Yes, I would start, and then I would, offer the opportunity for others to join in. My understanding of the weighted lottery is that we give preference or weight to students who are in economically disadvantaged areas, economically disadvantaged families, and that the way the lottery works, they get that first preference. As far as I'm sorry, what was the second half of the question? And again, I would invite Charlie or Kelly to jump in here as well, as they have more experience with weighted lotteries than I do.
It's not so much about the weighted lottery, Ms. Carroll, as, well, one, I'd like to know how many students you're targeting, but I want to know how the school plans to reach and serve educationally disadvantaged students. So they're not just economically, they're educationally disadvantaged. And I know Charlie and Kelly, they're over in the other part of the state. You would know more about Johnston County and the student population in the area that you are seeking to serve.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I would say that as far as, I think that the transportation is a big part of it. That I understand you have concerns about the number of buses that are available. My understanding of the methods that Charter One is using regularly in Arizona in Title I communities is that they do a sort of a community central bus location. So parents get their students to a central location in their communities, which makes it easier to run with fewer buses. They are not running to every single house like your standard Johnston County school buses would. Additionally, I would say that in the Clayton community, a significant portion of our economically disadvantaged, certainly, students live in the central part of the Clayton town boundaries. And so it would be, again, easier to get the buses in these locations. This is not too far, only a few miles from where we hope to have our school built. So we believe that we could achieve the busing efforts with a minimum number of buses and still be able to reach the students we need to who are educationally and economically disadvantaged.
Dawn, if you don't mind, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt. But with buses, the way we've done that in the past in the Charlotte market, which I would think in my area, there's more of a need for buses than in this area, just because we come straight from the inner city. But the way we do our bus routes is in the weeks, a week to 4 weeks before school starts, we have the parents tell us who needs bus transportation. And once we have those routes established, we determine how many buses we need. And there is extra money in the budget in case there's a need to purchase another bus. And we, I've got a lot of sources where I buy buses. This last year we bought 4 buses. They were really good buses and they've needed no maintenance. And all 4 didn't cost but $12,500. And so I thought that was we can find good buses. We can find transportation. And when you need to find it, you find it because that's what you do to meet the needs. And that's as far as the economically disadvantaged, but educationally, the curriculum itself meets the needs. Ms. Scott, Kelly, I don't know if she's willing to pop in here, but this is a place where she has a lot of expertise. Before she came to Charters, she was instructional facilitator for Gaston County schools. And her job was to take the data, disaggregate the data, and come up with an intervention plan. When we both were introduced to core knowledge and we found the remediation and assessment guides that go back and provide intervention that's straight from the curriculum, that was like a godsend because that material that they were remediating was straight from the lessons. You didn't have to find another provider, another company, another resource, another website, an NC check-in, none of it to come and remediate the children, because the curriculum itself provides intervention. So, I mean, to me, educationally disadvantaged speaks to children who are not doing well in the regular classroom, but are maybe not necessarily identified as exceptional children. Economically is where we would take care of them on the buses and the free and reduced lunch program. So the EDS kind of gets interchanged a lot in our community, in our world, our education world, but it's really two different things, because a child who has no economic problems could come from a prominent family, a dual income household, parents, mom and dads. In the case of my daughter, you know, she lives in the home with mom and dad. We're a middle income family. But educationally, when she finally got to the charter school, she was 2 years behind. But it was and she goes to a core knowledge school, and it was the remediation and assessment guides that the teachers in that school were able to use to bring my daughter up 2 full years. And now as a high schooler, she's making A's and B's. And she did not go in, she didn't come until 5th grade. And so by the time she was in 5th grade, she had missed a lot of instruction. And I accredit core knowledge, remediation, and assessment guides through middle school. Even at middle school, catching up my daughter, she's not EC, but now as a high schooler making A's and B's with this curriculum. I fully believe in the curriculum.
I would also say that the marketing efforts, intentional marketing efforts from Charter One will focus on the disadvantaged areas. So we don't want to leave out that we have access to the tools that they use to reach specific communities, and we certainly will be making use of those as well.
So
Go ahead, Alex.
I was going to ask, let's talk about the child nutrition, because that was something that we asked the previous school that we haven't asked the school. It's not included in the budget, and based on your math, Cheryl.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I feel like we're kind of accepting the answer of like, it's going to be a even wash, like, I don't know,
Well,
it's just not happen.
The item that the previous group didn't mention is that we plan to outsource our lunch to a third-party vendor that's a full-service provider, like such as Sodexo. So they'll manage the cash flows, the staffing, the reimbursement of the free lunch program, and all of those items for us. So that's why it's not included in the budget. But we do intend to apply for the free lunch program and have all students apply as part of their application, in addition to using that third-party vendor.
I don't understand about the third
Cheryl,
party.
I'm just not.
I can explain
I mean,
that.
At some level, you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know which question we needed to address. If you're asking what a third-party vendor is for lunch, is that the question?
No, I didn't get to finish the question. Is the third party vendor then saying that whatever revenues come in, they'll be okay with that? You don't owe them any other money. The only money they get is whatever comes in from reimbursement.
So my experience with that, we've been able to negotiate based on the reimbursement of the state. We do a free and reduced lunch program at my school through a third-party vendor. And what we did was we said, hey, here's how much they're paying. How close can you get to that? And so our free and reduced lunch program costs the school very, very little, like very little. And we are able to we actually provide lunch to 100% and breakfast to 100% because we're actually a CEP school. So the reimbursement, like, we're able to do it on a very small school. So with the budget of a larger school, I feel confident that it can be done.
Except that it's not budgeted at all, like budgeted at zero.
There's $0 in there.
So I think that when we talk about the budget surplus, we have to move further to see what we are working with before you can decide where to allocate that money. I think it's not a problem to put some in there, but honestly, the reimbursement covers the program. Anything extra stuff that we do because we want to, we go and add, snacks and things like that because we think they need more food. Well, my children particularly, we come from, my school's in a really poor area, so we need to add like weekend backpack programs and such. And so the money we do spend is above. And that's a whole different, I don't want to get sidetracked on Aristotle, but it's high, it's very doable.
Yeah, let's talk about the management fee. So I'd like a board member to comment on what are you getting for what will be $10 million over the first 5 years?
So I can go ahead and take that one. There's 4 different offerings specifically with Charter One that we'll be receiving. It'll be operational, academic, financial, as well as compliance. And with them being specialists in all of these different areas, it will provide us the necessary resources that we need to ensure that how we're governing the school is going to be best for the students overall.
Okay, so could we get into some more specifics? Because you mentioned financial, but then you have a financial line item that totals $2.4 million over 5 years. That's going, ostensibly, that would be a high price, but
So
that would go to pay your people that do payroll and all that.
Yeah, so the way the charter fee is split up in the budget is the charter fee is 15% total. And so there's 12% that's shown in the contract fees line, and then there's 3% shown in the financial line. So that financial line is actually part of the 15% management fee. It's just split into 2 different items. And the reason it's done that way is the contract fee is subordinated. So it'll be paid last after all other expenses, the 12%, and then the 3% for finance is not subordinated. And the reason is sometimes Charter One actually outsources that to other accountants, and that's why they're split out separately that way in the budget. So it's all wrapped into the 15% management fee.
Thank you for that answer, Ms. White. That is very insightful because the previous group did not describe it that way.
I agree. Thank you. This is Heather Van Cannon. Just wanted to understand, it was vaguely addressed with the other group about the board's understanding of the relationship between the school development group and Charter One. So can you guys elaborate a little bit on your understanding of what the relationship is there? And because, you know, effectively what the Charter School Advisory Board is doing is kind of giving a grant to a school in taxpayer money, very large grant. And so potentially, if approved by the state board. So I'd like for you to kind of just talk a little bit more in detail about that relationship as you understand it between the school development, the facilities group, and Charter One. Thank you.
So I'll talk to that because that's been something that I've had to walk through, you know, in the past few years, and it's been helpful in this situation as well. So we all understand that it's the board that holds the charter, that we are the one that's responsible for the outcome. The reason we would reach out to a charter management company is because we have full-time jobs and we can't all go sit and babysit the school every day. But we want to be ensured that it's going to run well. And from some training that I had previously, I learned that it is the charter management's responsibility to tell the board essentially how they will run the school, that how they will achieve the goals, how they will get the finances where they need to be, how they will make that fee work, how they will provide busing, how they will meet the needs nutritionally for the kids, how they will meet the social emotional needs.
Ms. Can I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I think you misunderstood the question. She's not asking how your board and Charter One, what the relationship is. She's talking about the facilities developer, the School Development LLC, and Charter One. What's your understanding of their relationship?
Yeah, I can take this one.
There's with each other?
Yeah, I can take this one.
Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
There is a relationship between the two in that they do have the same minority owner. However, they are not, otherwise there's no controlling interest between Charter One and Schoolhouse Development. They are completely separate entities. And so the one minority owner is the only common place between the two. That's it. Does that address your question, or can I?
How did you choose the developer?
I mean, bluntly, we chose it on the recommendation of Charter One, but certainly, you know, it comes with a reputation for being able to achieve the goals that we're going to have. You know, if we're awarded this this charter, we're going to have to very quickly find a piece of land and get a building built in a very short amount of time. And Schoolhouse Development has a history of being able to do this successfully.
So also, though, at least 4 of us have had the opportunity to visit schools that were built by this developer. And in my experience over the past 7, 8 years with charters, I've worked with multiple companies to build schools, and the facilities there for the same price point far and above what you see in others, and just the whole representation of what you see in their facility is it just speaks professionalism. It speaks to me, a lot of charters have facilities that are not really as good as the regular schools, and we have to keep making up for that in what's inside the charter. But this school's, the front of it presents just top-notch and high quality, far and above some of the others that we've worked with.
So I guess my question
spectacular. I would
is, with the lease, so in terms of there is a buyout provision where you can purchase a facility. You may have, I'm sure you heard us ask the other group about this. I mean, is that your intention? To buy the facility? Because if you don't buy the facility and run the term of the lease, the building, it's $67 million. So I'm pretty sure we could build a nice building for $67 million.
Yes, it's the intention to bond it out and to purchase it, yes.
And when? Because we had that same question about, you know, 120%, I believe, same provisions in this, where it's like, if you do it within 4 years, you're going to pay a penalty of 20% of the cost of the facility or something like that. Have you all thought about that or looked into it? I mean, it's just something to think about as you're talking about.
I mean, I would
facility
say
costs.
no. We have not spent much time talking about that. No. To be blunt.
So it's my understanding that with my conversations with Charter One, that they would not charge a penalty. And I don't think, so I know another school that is going through that right now, and they have, their penalty has been excused. So I don't, so with that, but I mean, if it was there, it would be there. But I think we would just have to sit down and say, what are the cost options versus paying it out or moving forward with a bond, but.
Okay. So, yeah, we could. So I have a follow-up just on the management fee, because a lot of times people say, they talk about management fee and they say, oh, you know, they're going to provide operational. You know, we're talking in generalities, like in specific terms. Because at the end of the day, most of you know, it's not like. Now, for the financial, knowing that the financial is now part of that management fee is important. And certainly need to look at the math on that to see. But what is the management fee paying for? Like, what are they going to do? Literally. Like, can someone give me some specifics?
I'll chime in just from the financial side. I know they'll be managing day-to-day accounting and finance functions, including accounts payable,
okay,
payroll.
Right. So I'm going to
those.
pause you there because I got that. I know that one. So because that I know exactly what that $400,000 is. Let's talk about the 1.6 million. What are we getting for 1.6 million? Like, what is that going to pay for?
I know that includes like technology, IT services, HR services, including hiring, facilities maintenance, academic services.
Specifically, like, is it, so are we paying the custodians? I think you might be. I don't know.
Yes.
There is no custodial contract, so I'm thinking maybe 120,000 of that could be custodial. What else?
Alex, I'll chip in real quick if I may. I'll give you an example. So for Charter One has multiple different departments, divisions, if you will, right? So the one example I'll give is marketing. So one of the costs that a lot of boards have to pay is for their own marketing to get their name out there, to solicit interest. For Charter One, they are an all-inclusive EMO. So the board doesn't have to do anything at all with the marketing piece because Charter One has their own internal marketing department, start to finish, from mailers to social media to more online surveys. That's one particular piece. There was technology mentioned as well. For parents to log in to their students' account and be able to communicate with teachers. Those are just some examples. If anyone else.
So when you say that, like parents to log in, does that mean like? I don't know. And then the marketing, like you have $35,000 in marketing. That's a pretty, So
those marketing numbers, Alex, those marketing, right? The marketing that they provide is the soft cost for marketing, which is huge. They provide all of the ads, the mailers. They design them all. But if there's a direct hard cost to the marketing, that's the responsibility of the school. So the postage cost or the things like that. Like if you were going to rent a billboard, the billboard cost itself. But some of the things that I found is just having but HR support, having internal CPAs, having Power School support has been there. They provide a lot of support with just EC support and
will they do Power School for you? Or are they going to do all the Power School?
Yes, they have a Power School department within there. Yeah, there's about somewhere between 80 and 100 employees at their home office that are at our disposal.
And where is that?
It's in, they have a home office in Arizona, but they also have an office, I believe it's located near Raleigh. I don't know all the names of those areas. What's the name of that little city out there?
It's in Durham, I believe.
Yeah, Durham. And they work from there. So when I need them, if I need to talk to somebody, I call somebody that's in my time zone right here, which is far and above other CMOs that I've worked with and I've been most impressed.
Alex, I need to interrupt. We are way over time.
Okay.
So this is the board's opportunity to give their closing statement. Is the board going to do a closing statement?
Yes, ma'am, I believe.
Sorry, I thought I was unmuted. My apologies. So on behalf of the board, I would like to thank you very much for the opportunity to conduct the interview today. We do feel through the curriculums of Core Knowledge and Eureka Math and the Dave Ramsey Financial Literacy and Entrepreneurship courses, coupled with the RAISE curriculum, we are positioning our school to provide a unique educational experience where students can thrive in Johnston County. We believe our mission statement of providing the best educational experience to as many students as possible in a moral and wholesome environment is more than just a statement. It's a living and breathing culture which will be enthusiastically embraced and supported by the families in Clayton and the surrounding communities in Johnston County. We also believe that when we live out our mission, our vision for our students to learn, lead, and change the world also comes to life. For us, it is all about the kids. One of the statements that we have heard many times in working with Charter One is that if the students don't know you love them, you probably don't. We love the students of Johnston County, and we're passionate about this opportunity to prove it. So for the sake of the children, we respectfully request your unanimous approval of American Leadership Academy Johnston. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, I want to open it up for the board for discussion. We have three options. We can move them forward to round two. We can move them forward directly to the state board with an approval, or we can decide not to move them forward at all. At this time, I'd like to hear what people are thinking.
Cheryl, this is Stephen. I've lived in Johnston County for 18 years, so I know Johnston County very well. I know this area very well. It is growing just exponentially right now. It's really, really amazing to see how that's done, and to see a group like this, a strong board like this, you know, with a committed EMO that wants to come in and provide a high school option to the students in Johnston County, I think is great. Also, you know, there's been quite a bit of turmoil with our local school system in Johnston County over the last couple of years, and especially all really centered around the Clayton area. And so I think that parents are really looking for an option where they can kind of get out of the drama for a little while and have something they can call their own, and have a student that can, you know, start in kindergarten and graduate from the same school. I think is a good thing. And so I would be in favor of moving this school forward.
Cheryl, this is Sherry. I have more questions, I believe, than what we received answers for. I think the budget, same questions that we have for the previous board. I'd also like a better understanding of the programs and how they're going to attract the educationally and economically disadvantaged students. So I would like to bring them back for round 2. I can make that a motion if you'd like.
Go ahead.
I make a motion that we bring American Leadership Academy Johnston back for a second interview.
Heather Van Cannon, second.
Okay, it's been, any discussion on the motion?
I'm going to vote for it. I would vote to move them on ahead now, but I'll vote for this motion as well.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded that American Leadership Academy be brought back next month for a second interview. Ashley, could you please take roll call?
Yes. All right. Jeanette Butterworth?
Aye.
Joel Ford?
Aye.
Alex Quigley?
Aye.
Sherry Reeves?
Aye.
Cheryl Turner?
Aye.
Heather Van Cannon?
Yes.
And Stephen Walker?
Aye.
Okay, we will see you next month for a second round interview.
Ms. Turner, can we get some more clarifying detail on parent support, specifically students that would be starting in those grades in that year?
Yes, please. The stuff that was in the application, I guess you guys had to file the application before you started this, whatever you did starting in June. So some updated data would be helpful. I'd also be interested in other supports for low-income kids, homeless kids, social emotional. I know you're teaching a social emotional program, but what supports are you providing to those students and their families? Anything else you guys want?
Is that a question for us right now, or are you wanting us to answer it?
No, that's when you come back next time.
Okay.
For next month. Anybody else have anything they particularly would like to hear next month? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to pull up the, did we need to take a short break, or should I go right to the next one?
No, we got to roll, Ashley.
Okay. The next applicant is the Soaring Eagle Academy, and I'm going to pull that up for Melanie to give you a quick overview.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. This is Melanie. Soaring Eagle Academy is located a little further east now, Pitt County. Their proposed site is in Farmville, North Carolina. And you'll see there that there are a few schools in the area. We've got Farmville Central High School, Farmville Middle, and then HB Suggs Elementary, and then the proposed site for Soaring Eagle Academy. The nearest charter is in Winterville. That's Winterville Charter, which is 16 miles from the proposed site. Next slide, you'll see that the Soaring Eagle Academy in year 1, K through 5, with 132 students, they expand into middle grades through year 4 with 198 students, which is their capacity. With the 198, they will participate in the National Lunch Program, provide transportation to the student body. They will not use the weighted lottery. Again, they do have a facility slated for Farmville. No LEA impact has been submitted. And then this is actually brought to my attention that they are a repeated applicant. They applied last year. They are not partnering with an EMO CMO, and the completeness check is a yes. I'm not certain if anything has changed, but as of yesterday, the board was not coming before CSAB. So I do not believe any member of their board is on the line today. And so if the lead wants to go ahead and begin.
Okay, thank you, Rose.
Yes.
Do we have any representation from Soaring Eagle on the line? Just make sure that if we do, we give you an opportunity to speak. And they did advise the Office of Charter Schools that they would not be in attendance. So we are going to review the application as if they were here. They just won't have their voice heard in regards to the need and such for their school, but we will go ahead and review. So, questions from the floor?
Yeah, Ms. Reeves, this is Mr. Friend. Maybe I missed it, but why are they not here today?
I don't believe they gave a specific reason, Mr. Friend. They just said that none of their members would be here today.
The verbatim was unforeseen circumstances.
Thank you, Melanie.
You're welcome.
Okay. I get, maybe I'm the only one, maybe I'm not. I find it difficult to make a judgment on an application when they're not here to answer questions that we might have.
Well, I guess my feeling about that, Bruce, is if you didn't bother to show up, that does tell me something.
Thank you for being more blunt than I was being.
Well, I've softened it up for both of you. I think we should not be dealing with these people since they're not here. I mean, to go through all of this with no clarifications, what's the point?
Well, I mean, we can defer to legal, but I think according to statute, we have to give them the opportunity. So obviously, we gave them the slated time. Is that opportunity enough? Tiffany, what do you think? If Tiffany's still on the line.
Hi, Sherry. It is Tiffany. I think that it's at the CSAP pleasure whether they want to entertain evaluating the application as submitted, as if they were here, and you're free to make a recommendation or the other based on view. If you've given them the opportunity to present, it's certainly within your discretion to give them another opportunity to present if information comes to your attention that would warrant that. But otherwise, you are certainly free to evaluate based and make a decision or a recommendation to the state board about how to handle this based on the information you have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. So I can tell you guys, I am familiar with this area. You know that of recent, well, as of last year, We closed a school, not exactly in the same vicinity that this school would be, but clearly trying to serve the same population. There were many parts of the application for me that I felt the answers were not fully developed. The mission was very non-specific. I just felt like the application needed more work in general. They spoke of a lot of good programs, but I didn't feel like that anything was very cohesive. And there were very few responses of people that were interested, and I know they were trying to target Farmville specifically and had a building in mind there, but I mean, there was just many shortcomings for me in the application. So if I were to make a recommendation myself, I would say that this group and this application is certainly not ready for advancing to a ready to open status. But I would like to hear from others if you have anything.
Ms. Reeves,
yes.
Mr. Friend again. I'll just say that, go ahead, Hilda, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Ms. Reeves, that I have questions about the budget. I have questions about their enrollment. And I have questions about the demand based upon the information they received. I will not support this application when they're not here to answer those questions. I would go ahead and make a motion that we do not move this forward.
I would second that, Hilda Perley.
Okay, we have a motion not to move this application forward and a second. Do we have any further discussion on the Soaring Eagle Academy or the motion?
It does need a lot of work, Madam Chair, as I read through it as well. A lot of unanswered, a lot of answers were not clear. And yes, to the enrollment and the fact that they don't have a weighted lottery. I know they will have a small enrollment, but lots of unfinished business here.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Any further discussion? If not, we'll have Ms. Becerra to take a roll call. And the motion is not to move the Soaring Eagle Academy forward in the application process.
Okay, Jeanette Butterworth? Aye. Joel Ford?
Aye.
Ruth Friend?
Aye.
Hilda Parlay?
Aye.
Alex Quigley?
Aye.
Harry Reeves?
Aye.
Cheryl Turner?
Aye.
Heather Van Cannon?
Aye.
Okay, it passes unanimously.
Okay, one. Shit.
All right, it looks like, so we do, well, yes, we have a lunch break. We can take, it's up to you guys. We can take a long lunch break, or come back.
Is there a way that we could, I think I'm a little worried we might need more time for the renewal interviews than we currently have allotted. Depending on them, sometimes it has taken us longer. Is there any way that we could break for an hour now and then start Great Opportunities at 1:15?
I think so. I'm sure we can reach out to the board and get them on here early.
Yeah, I'll email them. I'll email them now.
What's the board's? I mean, if we could, also, Dave, do you want to wait and do your updates at 4, or do we want to, I guess if we could move them up, we could try to finish everything at least 30 minutes early if we're right on time.
I vote for 30 minutes early.
Okay.
Is it possible for you to these updates now and then take a lunch break?
Yeah, I can do my updates right now, Chairman Quigley.
Yeah, let's do that.
Very, very short, won't take but a minute. Would you like me to do it right now?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. So as far as State Board of Ed updates, they did approve the virtual charter school report with a slight change in recommendation 3. They changed the wording from separating the virtual charter schools to the brick and mortar charter schools internally with DPI. And they did approve the weighted lottery request for Torchlight, Two Rivers, Triad Math and Science, and Elaine Reddick. They did discuss the Doral Charters request to relocate. There was some discussion on that, and they'll vote on it at their next meeting. As far as OCF updates, I'd like for either Jay Whalen or Barbara O'Neill to quickly talk about NC Access update, talking about the Fellows Program and the new leaders pipeline. I think both of you are on the line if you want to give us a quick update on that.
Sure, this is Jay. So really quickly, we have our fourth NC Access on Thursday. That's been going really well. And in terms of the Minority Leaders Program, we have 15 eligible applicants that we've accepted and are going in the application process with Appalachian State. I believe 10 of those have been fully accepted at this point, and 5 more are still waiting on some final documentation to go through. So we'll have a more final update about that, hopefully next month.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate that. Really excited about the what the NC Access Fellows Program has brought to North Carolina, and we have a couple other ideas in the oven that we hope to be able to bring to you maybe in the next couple of months. But this has been a really exciting time for the charter school community. We continue to have our weekly office hours every Monday at 11:30 when we're not in CSAB, and that seems to be very successful. We appreciate the charter leaders participating in it. And 2 weeks ago, we had a great discussion on local funding, and we hope to be able to follow up with that with Aaron, who's leading that discussion. That was very informative. Dr. O'Neill and myself participated in a educational roundtable with Secretary Betsy DeVos at Alpha Academy. Very informative. And want to give a shout out to Eugene Slocum for hosting a very first-class operation. That was a great event. And that our RTO virtual sessions are going very well. I want to thank Claire and her team for doing it. We've been really pleased at how well the virtual RTO sessions are going. And I just want to close with letting CSAB members know that tomorrow is Ashley's birthday, so don't work her quite so hard for the rest of the day today. But want to say happy birthday to Ashley on behalf of the Office of Charter School and CSAB, and that's all I have.
Happy birthday, Ashley.
Happy birthday, Ashley.
I think we need to sing.
Yeah, let's sing.
Sing.
Are we?
I mean, you're not going to hear me sing, so someone else.
Come on, Alex, you're our leader.
Oh, gosh.
Just remember, this is being streamed, and people all over way ahead.
Happy birthday, Ashley.
We're supposed to be taking care of business.
We're going to adjourn for lunch. Happy birthday, Ashley. We love you. And we're going to adjourn for lunch. And we will pick it back up at 1:15 with great opportunities, boarding school for girls, and let us know if that is not feasible.
Okay, so you're gonna Mr. Quigley, you're gonna want us to move the renewal discussion up also, so we'll need to contact those schools also?
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Which we can do.
Is that going to be difficult? I mean, I imagine they're probably pretty ready.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
We'll work on both that.
Renewal schools that are presenting were told to be available from 2 o'clock on. So
Oh, great. Okay.
maybe we'll touch base with them anyway, just to make sure, to see if they'll be available and on time.
Okay, so everyone come back at 1:05 and with ready to launch at 1:15 at the latest. Or no, sorry, come back at 1:15. That's fine.
All right, we're on track then. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Lawrence, if you can hear me, you can shut down streaming. We are going to come back at 1:15. If you're not there right now, I will also text you.